Welcome, welcome to the one and only Xbox2 podcast. I am your host, co-host, Randall Thor 19, the man with the million. We are now live on this beautiful December 8th, Friday, episode 294, if I do believe so. 6 more to go to the legendary 300. Hopefully everything's sounding good. Hopefully everything's looking good. And
Yo, am I coming through okay?
Yeah. I mean, maybe just turn yourself down a scooch. Kind of came in a little bit loud there.
Turn it down a little bit?
Just
okay.
like a scooch.
Scooch.
Just a scooch.
Yeah, because we've switched countries, which means we've switched back to the Yeti.
Jez Corden is obviously here, as you guys can tell. Managing editor of Windows Central. He's now was in Germany, and now he's in the UK. So of course, there's the whole mic situation, switching mics, switching setups and stuff. So got to make sure everything sounds good, everything looks good. But yeah, we are live, and there's a lot to talk about today because can never just be one thing, right? Can never just be a simple Xbox announces game. It's got to be all this other stuff piled on top of it. You know what I mean? Whatever. But this episode, we're probably going to be mostly talking about, I was thinking maybe a good time to actually get on camera is probably 300. For those of you asking, my PC should be here next week, and then I'll be buying a whole bunch of other stuff to go along with it, so that might be the plan, but we'll see. Either way, we do have a lot to talk about today because, it's the Game Awards, and Xbox actually showed up in a massive way, more so than I think people expected. Definitely eclipsing their no-show last year, where, if you roll back a year from now, or a year ago, we were starting off the show being like, where's Xbox? What's going on? What's going on with Xbox? They had a bad year because they didn't release many games, and we expected them to show up at the Game Awards, and then they didn't show up, and people were freaking out. People in the industry are freaking out, like, what's going on with Xbox? Why aren't they here? Oh man, they screwed up again. But then fast forward a year to today, and people are upset about another thing. I guess the moral of the story is people can never be happy, huh? Is that what it is, Jess? Can people not be happy?
Yeah, I mean, Xbox, you talk about the media doing an Xbox tax, but Xbox fans tax themselves, bro. We tax ourselves.
Yeah.
Who was it? Someone said there's an Xbox IRS.
An Xbox IRS?
Yeah, if there's an Xbox tax, it implies the existence of an Xbox IRS. And
I mean, after last night, we might have to talk about the PlayStation tax, because they came out with 0 award wins except for the TV show Last of Us. So maybe there's a PlayStation tax we need to talk about.
Yeah, true. PlayStation nominated a fair bit, and all the nominations is what led to some of the Xbox tax commentary in the first place. But PlayStation, did they win anything? They won the TV award, right?
TV.
But they didn't win any game awards, so maybe it's a PlayStation tax. Maybe we got it all wrong, Rand.
Maybe
we got it all wrong, bro.
maybe I don't know. But yeah, man, I was in a party last night with my friends, and we were doing like the whole. One of them had created like an Excel list, and we were all picking the winners beforehand. So like, winner gets gifts and something, shipped to them. And everybody was sort of drinking, having a good time, and then it was just like, three and a half hours, 3 hours, with 15 minutes of acceptance speeches. Did you know that? People timed the acceptance speeches during the course of the 3.5 hours, and it came out to a total of 12 minutes out of a 3.5 hour award show. Because I don't know, I had a take last night. I had a take last night because look, I like Jeff Keighley a lot. I like the Game Awards. I like what he's doing. But there's this sort of, I feel like sometimes he gaslights people. Like he'll be like this, like he comes out and like at the beginning of the awards and he's like, we're here to celebrate the industry, showcasing the devs and all this sort of stuff, right? Like he makes it about like the developers and the great games that came out this year. And it's really not that. And I made this tweet where I was like, dude, I don't want to ever hear again that the Game Awards is actually about awarding and celebrating the best games, the developers of that year, whatever, because
I'm just going to say it, Rand.
Okay,
I'm just going to say it.
Go ahead.
The Game Awards are a joke.
Okay, we're going that hard, huh? They're a joke.
Yeah, we're going hard. I think they're a joke. I think like, and I hate to say this, but I agreed with Kotaku's take.
Dude, I felt
it's not often. It's not often I find myself agreeing with the Kotaku take.
I felt dirty because I kind of agreed with them too. Like I put out my tweet and they sort of the same thing. I'm like, I agree with the Kotaku. This is a sad day.
Kotaku's take was stop pretending it's anything other than E3 and the winner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the correct take. Just call it the winter showcase, the Winter Games Fest,
Winter E3,
or something. It's not a Game Awards show. They do very little to celebrate game devs. Awfully little. Josh Sawyer also had a great take on it. He called it an indictment of a segment of the industry that like sort of wishes, they were part of Hollywood rather than like actually celebrating the people who create these games. Like it is a joke, and it's kind of like a lot. I don't know what the mentality is. It's so much of the Game Awards feels self-serving for Jeff Keighley, to be quite honest with you. So much of it feels self-serving. And I know a lot of work goes into this stuff. And I kind of like, in past years, I've said things like, I appreciate what they're trying to do, but all this shit with the Muppets and random celebrities coming in and all this kind of stuff. And I can't help but feel like, is their mentality like, this is how we reach the masses and grow this thing? Or is it really, I just want to imagine that we're part of Hollywood? Because gaming is not like this. And I don't think, and I can't remember who had this take. Someone else on Twitter had this great take. And I apologize to whoever this was who had this take. And if someone else knows who it was, drop in the chat. But someone said something like, when is the game industry going to stop trying to pretend it's Hollywood when the game industry's bigger than Hollywood? The game industry drives way more revenue than Hollywood. Why does it keep acting as if it has to bow down to fucking Hollywood? So, and like every year Kojima has more airtime than all the other devs put together.
Yep.
And it's just like all these kind of things coalesce into this sort of impression that it's just self-serving. It's self-serving for a specific group of people who, it's like their personal show. It's not about the devs. It's not about the creators. It's not about the people who drive this industry. It's about the cool club having a little party,
Yes.
And it was on display this year. It was on display, and I just think it's super unnecessary.
Well,
it's super unnecessary.
Then again, here's the thing.
I don't know why these publishers keep going along with it.
Because this is the biggest gaming event. This is like a time where you can get your announcements in front of the eyes of tens of millions of people, right? It's bigger than E3 because E3 is a whole bunch of different sort of, well, what used to be E3, I guess, was a whole bunch of different things and different events. This is everybody coming together at the end of the year, and it's like all the eyeballs are there, so all the publishers and all the developers want their stuff there because you get all the eyeballs on it. And you know what? To be fair, if they didn't have the reveals and the ads, nobody would watch. Like, I wouldn't watch. Nobody watch. I mean, we don't watch the DICE Awards. We don't watch Golden Joysticks. We don't watch any of that stuff because
I think are those things. like golden joysticks, yeah, maybe, but like at the same time, it's like you build the audience, right? He's created an audience of people who only show up for the trailers. So every single year, you have more trailers and more marketing and less game devs, because that's the audience that is being curated, and they're going to curate it more next year and curate it more the next year. It's like they had 30 seconds for award acceptance speeches this year. They're going to have 20 seconds next year. Like, how is it going to evolve, And I realize these things have to be funded, and like they've got to have sponsors and they've got to have ads and stuff, and it's kind of the consequence of doing this as an online thing rather than partnering with a cable TV channel in a more traditional way, or however they monetize the Oscars and all that kind of stuff, because Oscars obviously have sponsors as well. But there's so many problems with the Game Awards as a show, the format and the amount of time that's dedicated to the awards themselves, the jury, and the some of the panelists on the jury just have no integrity. Like fucking Metro is on the panel. Are you kidding me? So it's kind of like there's so many problems with the format, and people call out the problems every year, and they're just not addressed. Instead of being addressed, they just double down. I suppose it's like the thing is, the metrics are telling him that this is what people want.
That's true.
I mean, he's curating this audience, and I'm sure there'll be stats that the Game Awards are bigger than last year. It'll come out, and it's still in this kind of growth phase. But it was just, I couldn't watch, I didn't watch the whole thing. Like, I started watching it earlier because obviously it was on at 1 a.m. in Britain or Germany or whatever. And I traveled yesterday, I flew, and there was just like, there's no way I'm doing this or covering it. And I had a really great team at Windows Central, covered it really, really well. Our American team, shout out to them, and they did a really great job covering it. And and I started watching it today to prep for the show, and it's just like, it's just not good, So I just started watching the trailers instead, and the trailers were great.
Yeah, I mean, like if you would rate it as a game award or like a game award show, it's an F, right? If you're rating it as a show to celebrate the devs and the games, it's an F. And that's what I'm not like, it's really about this like idea that Jeff says it's about celebrating gaming and the devs. It's absolutely not. It's 100% a marketing event. It's not about celebrating the devs. When you give devs 12 minutes to accept their award, or 12 minutes for acceptance speeches, when you're telling people wrap it up after 30 seconds while they're giving an impassioned speech about being accepted by the community and how, like, trying to talk about, like, the people that died on your team that you're dedicating the award to, and you're just wrap it up. But, you have Christopher Judge out there giving him enough time to make fun of Call of Duty, or Kojima and giving him 15 minutes, or Matthew McConaughey's out there being like, all right. And I like Matthew McConaughey, right? Like, it's just this weird vibe, and it was more egregious this year than ever, where it's just, call it what it is. Here's the thing. Call it what it is. Call it, Jeff calls his summer show the Summer Games Fest. Just call this Winter Game Fest. Don't give the pretense that it's an awards show. And let's also drop this pretense that, like, this award show means the most. Like, somehow this is, like, more important than all the others or whatever, right? Because I don't know how the hell that whole thing comes. Like, Jeff Keighley decided to do his award show, and somehow it became the default award show or whatever. Or, like, it means the most, right? But yeah, because we're going to be talking about a lot. There's other things that went on this week, like Grand Theft Auto 6, blowing up the internet and stuff, and leaks ruining that, I guess. And obviously the stuff with Xbox, and we'll talk about what we enjoyed of the trailers from this winter showcase, because that, from now on, that's what I'm calling this. Calling it the Winter Game Fest. I'm no longer calling it the Game Awards because it's not the Game Awards. And you mentioned brilliantly about how they want to be accepted by Hollywood. Like, think about this. They had all these games that they gave away in blocks, right? Best RPG, I think it was like best action game. I forget exactly. They had all these awards that they just gave away all in like one go. But they made sure that best adaptation for a TV or movie actually got to come up there. Like, so we got to see Neil Druckmann talk about Last of Us because that's what the Game Awards about. It's about celebrating Hollywood, not about actually celebrating the Game Awards. Like, how does that award get stage time and presence and all the other ones do not? Right? And how does that award even really exist? This idea of like, let's celebrate the best like video game adaptation at the movies or TV shows. Like you're showing exactly what's going on, like how you exactly feel. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
man, we just launched straight into it.
Well, we had to. I mean,
we got thoughts.
You know, we've been raring to talk about this stuff, and then I'm sure we got thoughts about the other stuff too. But anyways, welcome to the Xbox 2 podcast. Do us a huge favor. If you're here in chat already, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new as well. And let's get into some housekeeping really quick. And this episode of Xbox 2 is sponsored by Manscaped. Is that right, Jez?
Indeed, Rand Jez, 19, the man with the million testicles. You have a million testicles. You're gonna need some product from Manscaped to shave all of those testicles. I just sort of imagined this whole warehouse full of hairy testicles, and you got like some Manscaped lawnmower just shaving. Oh man, yeah. Let's get that image right in my head right now. But ho ho ho, gentlemen, get ready to jingle and deck your balls this holiday with the help from our friends over at Manscaped.com, the sponsors of the Xbox 2 podcast. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched their Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, but I like to call it the small gift for your big package. Included is a trimmer as precise as Santa coming down the chimney. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra brings 2 next-gen blade heads, perfect for sculpting your holiday do. From taming the chestnuts to grooming the tree. Jeff Keighley should have me on to do Manscaped for the Game Awards. Like I'd be like, Jeff Keighley would be like, oh, by the way, here's the award for best RPG, flashes up on the screen, and now we're gonna hear from Jez talking about Manscaped for the next 5 minutes. Hey, why not? Anyways, trust us, guys. It's as gentle as a snowflake on your sensitive bits, thanks to Manscaped's skin-safe technology. Santa's #1 helper, the Lawnmower 5.0 Manscaped, can guarantee you'll be stuffing more than just your stocking this season. Woo, that's spicy. Let your ornaments shine and enjoy 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code XB2. Mrs. Claus will thank you, just like we're going to thank Manscaped for sponsoring this podcast. That's 20% off, free worldwide shipping with our code XB2 at manscaped.com.
Manscaped.com.
Yes, Manscaped, you know. And we do a 4-hour show and we only have a single ad read in it.
Yeah, that's true.
For you know.
But we're also
maybe just should take a leaf out of our book, or a razor out of Manscaped's ball package.
But we also are supported by the wonderful people at patreon.com/XB2, which we were going to have an Xbox 2 +1 this past week, but then schedules got all screwed up, and Jez couldn't make it because of work, and then like, okay, we'll reschedule for next week, but then the guest couldn't make it, so we're going to have to reschedule for that. However, we do have an Xbox 2 +1 coming this Tuesday, right, Jez?
Yes, indeed you do. won't announce the guest until we're absolutely locked in because you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, we are aiming for next Tuesday.
Yes.
For the next XB2.
This upcoming Tuesday.
This upcoming Tuesday.
Yes.
And we have a really super cool guest lined up.
Very, very super cool guests. First time, be on like the show, whether it's like the Xbox 2+1 or, the Xbox 2 podcast. So well, obviously when we lock it completely down, we'll announce that. But I'm really looking forward to it. I've podcasted with him before, like once, and he's an awesome dude. So I'm looking forward because man, there's a lot of things to talk about with him. A lot of things. But we also have we got to do some shout outs. We have Holy Dark Death. We have Steve Stompy, Peter B, James Wiseau, Trickstar for Trade, The Grandest of Bip, Battered Haddock, Army Dude 52C, Ryan Kipple, For an Object, Mythic Marty, Moronic Donkey 99, Mockazilla, Randa Thor 19, Silas, Eric Gregory, Elijah Vasquez, James Moore, Fantasticals, Halo is the GOAT, Bright Tundra 1, Discarded Caboose, Justin Duel, Frank Mariano, Strong Kramer, PB Bro King, Asa T, and Madison, Untidy Tim, Grizzly Mofo, G, Governor Grimm, DZ, Huffin, Wagerman, Achievement, The Scarecrow 121, Darren Tropy, Prof JJJ, Ghostface Killa, and Wolfgang KPZ. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting what we do on the Xbox too. And yeah, Jez, what do we do? Should we just dive? We do have a couple super chats that probably should just dive into and see what they say, and then where we go from there, I guess, is anybody's guess. I mean, I can tell where we're probably going to end up because there's usually like one thing on everybody's mind at this point in the day, especially with some of the stuff I've saw. Did you know? I don't know if you know this. Maybe you do. Maybe you saw this. But did you know that Xbox logo was trending yesterday?
The logo? Why?
Like just Xbox logo was trending on Twitter.
No.
Xbox logo.
No idea.
You want to know why Xbox logo was trending?
Hit me. I'm dying to know.
Because the Xbox logo wasn't on the Blade trailer. And
that's why.
A whole bunch of speculation had arisen about why there wasn't an Xbox logo on the Blade trailer.
Xbox logo.
But yeah, that's a discussion we will get into. We have Joshua B in the super chat. He says, looking forward to OD and Blade for the Xbox Series 2/S2. Oh, so he kind of took like one of my Galaxy Brain sort of things. One of my things I was gonna, because you wrote an article and you gave a whole bunch of different reasons. You didn't write about like one of the reasons that I was sort of kind of having like fun idea with, but
what's
like
that?
The idea that there's no platforms announced for Blade because it's for next gen. And so they don't know what the Xbox logo and the platforms will be at that point, similar to the Starfield and Elder Scrolls announcement from 2018 where they didn't announce platforms or logos of any kind, and that ended up being for next gen. Part of me was like, what if Blade is a game that is coming out for the next gen Xbox or PlayStation 6, but they can't give logos or platforms because they don't exist yet?
I mean, they did say development's only just started on Twitter. So, 4 years at least? What that takes us to...
Well, I mean, I did also see one of the developers of Arkane Lyon say that they've been working on it for a year. So, I mean, granted, big AAA games do take some time. They do take about 4 or 5 years or so. Although Arkane Lyon has been pretty... They do get stuff out pretty fast. Like, they went from Dishonored 2 in 2016... and was Dishonored 2, and they went to Deathloop. I'd have to look at the wiki. So I'm trying to think. It was like Dishonored 1 was the collab when Arkane Lyon and Arkane Austin were together. And then I want to say 2016 was Dishonored 2, which was the first game by Arkane Lyon because they split. And then 2017 was Arkane Austin. And I think 2018 was then. Yeah, Arkane Lyon did Death of the Outsider. And And then I want to say Arkane Austin was the co-dev with Machine Games on Wolfenstein Youngblood, and then Deathloop came out in 2021 from Lyon. So Lyon was like, okay, they had a game in 2016, they had a game in 2018, and a game in 2021. Obviously, I don't know if you can really compare late 360 to Xbox One generation timeframes. So, yeah, I mean, you're kind of looking at like the idea of like, okay, if it started last year, maybe 4 years, you're looking at like 2026, maybe 2027. So, I mean, you're getting into that like area, right, Jez?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know timelines for next gen, but I mean, man, we'll talk in more depth about
yeah.
the Blade.
Well, I didn't think
controls,
anybody would
dude.
actually have a super chat that kind of like espoused on like one of my galaxy brain theories that I don't really believe, but it's just kind of fun to think about. Maxi
I think there's something there actually, and I'll explain why when we get to the topic.
Maxi Coleman says, you secure a Marvel IP, third tier character, and you give it to a studio that makes cartoonish looking games, the media are going to eat them alive. I don't think so. From all the reactions,
that chap sent me a DM about this, and what was I gonna reply? I think it's interesting because you say things like the media's gonna eat them alive and stuff, and then you look at things like Hi-Fi Rush, which has cartoony graphics, and the media absolutely loved it.
mm-hmm.
So there is evidence that the media will not just attack an Xbox game just because it's got cartoony graphics. You need only look at Hi-Fi Rush for this. Not only that, you look at Deathloop, and I would say like Deathloop has cartoonish kind of that
very
kind
stylized.
of style.
Yeah, the art stylized.
Yes, stylized. Yeah, and I would say the media probably loved Deathloop more than the players did, to be honest. So yeah, I don't think that opinion holds up. And yeah, Blade is kind of. You want to hope Blade's going to be a mature game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like bloody and violent. Like
they said so.
Like the movie.
They said so. They said it was mature.
Yeah, and they said so. Yeah, so I think like art style. I like. I know Arkane's art style is sometimes subject to, criticism, and this art's subjective. But I like their art style, and I personally want to see what Blade looks like when it's violent as hell. There's a lot of adult cartoons that are doing well right now. Well, what's that show on with that American thing, Invincible, is it called?
Invincible, yeah,
that's doing pretty well, isn't it? And
that's on Amazon Prime, the superhero show, yeah,
super duper violent, isn't it?
Very very violent.
Yeah, so I think as long as the game's fun and the art style is consistent and the animations are good, I don't think the art style will preclude it from getting accolades and good awards.
Yeah.
You might not like it, but I don't think that's going to affect.
I mean, most of the reactions I've saw for Blade were like shocked, like what? We're getting a Blade? Like none of the reactions were like, why does it look like that? People were
I didn't see a single person criticizing.
Yeah, people were legit surprised and happy that Blade was the thing. Although, man, you called me out on this in our DMs, Jez. You called me out on this, and rightfully so, because
I can't remember what you're talking about.
You found out it was Arkane Lyon, and then you realized that I had predicted it the week before on Xbox 2, and you realized that I already knew.
Yes.
What was coming?
Yes.
So, okay, for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do know, I'll do predictions, right? I'm not going to leak anything, because I don't do that, right? I like... Other people can do that sort of stuff. It's not for me. But I will throw in Rand's predictions sometimes, where quote-unquote my predictions, where sometimes one of those predictions is actually something I know to be actually happening. But I try to obfuscate it by, throwing in guesses that are wrong, right? And like 3 weeks ago, we did like what we predicted we're going to be at the show. And I said, it's 3 things, right? And it ended up being 3 things, But I couldn't actually say what the 3 things were. And granted, like, I didn't know what they all would be, right? So I was like, all right, it's Gear 6, which I knew wasn't going to be there. But it was still funny, like, after I said it was going to be Gear 6, people started talking about Gear 6 again, so I guess people listen to the Xbox too. I said Indiana Jones, because we haven't seen anything of it. And then I said and Arkane Lyon. With, you know, like, I was like Dishonored 2 or Deathloop.
Honestly, like, I thought that was so... Even when you said it then, I was like, that is really specific. Isn't it, Rand?
Yeah. So
I was just like, oh, come on.
So that was one of those. That was one of those predictions. And then Jez found out it was Arkane Lyon, and he was like, "You mother effer!" And I'm like, "What can I say, right?" Now, I didn't know it was Blade. To be fair, I didn't know it was Blade until literally about a week ago. And you know what? I'm gonna be nice here. I'm gonna be nice. Normally, when we talk about Special Nick, we kind of like, you know, it's a little thing between us.
I told you before.
No. Nick told me way before you did.
And you didn't tell me?
Well, because you didn't ask.
Well, I found out.
You didn't ask.
Didn't ask.
You didn't.
Yeah.
I ask you all the time.
I found out from my own means.
You did find out from your own means. But so like normally we'll razz Special Nick, right? I'm like I'm the president, like #1 hater of the president, you know, hating Special Nick Club. But I'll be nice today. I'll be nice. And I'll have to give him his props on this one because he told me about a week ago that he heard a Blade game was going to be announced, and he was like, "That's crazy if it's true." So Nick, I have to give you your flowers on this one. You're right. You right. So there you go. You wanted me to be nice, and I'm nice. So, yeah. And then all of a sudden, like this week, a couple days ago, it sort of leaked on Reset Era, and it seemed like literally everybody knew. Like everybody. Like, so, I don't know. Yeah. And this is the thing. It's like, the problem is, it's like you have
Nobody reported it, though, which I thought was kind of cool.
Nobody reported on it. Like, no Tom Henderson, Tom Warren, Jeff Grubb, yourself.
So people knew. Like, everyone kind of knew. And it did. And, like, if you're an enthusiast, you would have found it on Reset Era or one of the subreddits or whatever. But people generally kept the surprise. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, Tom Henderson says, no one is allowed to give Nick credit, guys. His ego will grow too much for the world to handle. True, and this will be the only time I'll give Nick credit. I said I would be nice to him today, and hopefully he's listening or listening to this later. Yes, but Nick was the first person about a week ago to tell me it was Blade. Because I had said to him, like, yo, I'm pretty sure Arkane Lyon's revealing something, and he's like, yeah, I think it's Blade. And I'm like, oh shit, really? And then it was, and it was like, oh, what an announcement that was. But I guess you could make the sense, like, you know, it leaked. But with this sort of thing, it's like, where do leaks come from? Because you got, like, the Xbox side of things, but then you also have the Marvel side of things, right? But then you also got the Game Awards side of things. Because obviously they're doing rehearsals.
Yeah.
Things have to be seen. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay. And they had people up there talking, so it's like, how did this information exactly come out? Because a lot of people knew about this thing like a few days before the event, and there's a lot of parties involved. So it's like, loose lips sink ships, boys. Just remember that. Oh, you were saying something, Jez?
I was just saying, like, yeah. I mean, I don't know how it leaked to me, but and it wasn't someone, but yeah, when there's lots of, I don't know, links in the chain, I suppose you could call it. It's not completely unsurprising that something like this would come out when there's so many different parties involved. But yeah, I'm glad it didn't fully leak though, because like the people were kind of warned. I saw Akami when I found out. And then, not long after I found out, I saw Akami on Twitter saying like, you guys should stay off Twitter if you want to avoid spoilers for this. And you know, he did give people a chance to avoid being spoiled, I think, and nobody really posted about it on websites and stuff. But I know a lot of people in the media knew about this. Pretty much everyone knew about it. But yeah, but one thing we don't know is what platforms it's going to, at least not officially. So everyone knew that it was coming, but no one knows what platforms it is, or at least no one's saying what platforms it is. But we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we got a Nintendo Don, the Otaku, saying in the super chat, Nintendo had the best showing at the Game Awards. They didn't have announcements, and that was actually genius and cool, unlike Xbox. Unlike when Xbox was a no-show in 2022. I see what you did there. Chris R., he says, I agree on giving the devs more credit, but honestly, the trailers are the only reason I tune in. I mean, 100%. That's the only reason any of us are tuning in. That's the only reason.
There's got to be a balance. There's just got to be a better balance.
Yeah,
it went way too far in the other direction.
But that's the only. I mean, he is true. That is right. I mean, like the only reason 10 million people, like when Jeff will get on social media and be like, the Game Awards was seen by 10 million people, eclipsing the ratings of the Oscars. You know, it's like, yeah,
this accent?
The 10, not that accent, but the 10 million people are only there for the trailers. Absolutely. That's the only reason we were there. Like, if it was just an award show, I wouldn't watch it. You know, but like the thing is, like, don't gaslight me and tell me it's about celebrating the industry and the developers of all the amazing games, and then you shoo them off 30 seconds in and give away all the awards in groups of 5. But make sure you got Matthew McConaughey up there and the dude from Shang-Chi and our Lord and Savior Hideo Kojima, and give him 20 minutes. Well, all the other things give me.
I wouldn't mind it, right? I wouldn't mind it if, like, is Matthew McConaughey going to be in a video game or something?
Yes, he is. That's why he was.
Oh, he is.
That's why he was introducing the thing, because he's voicing or in the game. Yeah.
I see. That's okay, right? But what video game's Gonzo in, bro? What video game?
I don't know. Whatever it is, I'll play it.
The Muppets. You into the Muppets, Ryan?
I mean, I used to be. I mean, who wasn't into the Muppets? Especially, what was that? It was like Baby Muppets, Muppet Babies. There we go. Muppet. Yeah, you remember Muppet Babies, bro? Used to watch that stuff all the time, man.
I don't think we had Muppet Babies, bro.
You didn't have Muppet Babies, man.
I don't think so, bro.
Okay. Well, we got in the super chat, we got Face 23 BKNY. I knew he would super chat something, and without even looking at it, I'm sure it's about Blade. And let me see if I'm right. Wolverine was revealed with the PlayStation logo at the end of the announcement trailer. Why can't Microsoft just reveal if Blade is exclusive or not? People get confused with their mixed messaging. And I nailed it. Boom! I knew what it was, and I didn't even have to look at it. Yeah, we'll have a lot to say about that when we go over the Xbox announcements, because they did dominate the Game Awards. I used that as yeah, look at all the discussion. All the discussion today is about Xbox and Blade, bro. They dominated the discussion.
So, some people don't like that you put that in the title, bro.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's a bit clickbait, right?
No? I don't give a shit. My YouTube channel, my titles,
Rand's titles, your thumbnails.
My opinion. You know, can I not have an opinion? I guess.
So like when you start going on camera, you're gonna start doing those
Dude, I'll do hand movements and stuff, bro. Oh yeah, we getting into it.
Will you do the shocked face thing?
No. I'm not. I doubt I would put my ugly ass fat face in thumbnails.
In thumbnail?
Yeah,
No.
I don't think I would do that.
I mean,
so.
there's overweight YouTubers that do that.
Sure.
I would do that. I'll do it. Fuck it. I don't care. I'm ugly as hell. The thing is, I've been thin, right? And I've been overweight. I've been 450 pounds and I've been 150 pounds within my adult life, which is a dramatic amount of weight loss and weight gain. I look ugly either way. So there's no point worrying about it too much. Either I'm ugly thin or ugly fat. So screw it, man. Who cares? Just slap that shocked face.
Slap it all
photograph
over.
in that thumbnail. and get that sweet engagement, baby.
Yeah, that sweet engagement money.
Because I can't afford plastic surgery. Stuck with his face, no matter how thin I get.
Murloc 1986 in the super chat says the only speech that wasn't played off was for The Last of Us. Got to make sure that we're about Hollywood in the Game Awards. Got to get those adaptations. And they also had the Fallout team or the Fallout actors on stage as well. You had the big power armors. I don't know if you saw that. You probably didn't because you just watched the awards. Because
I did see the power armor.
Okay, you did see Power Armor was there, and the three main actors. And that's what they give the award to. But one of the other criticisms I have of the show, now that we're back on this topic, is it is way too long. I'm sorry, it is way too long. It's like 3 hours or whatever it was. Too long.
No, I gotta call you out. I gotta call you out now. Because hang on, we're sitting here saying that they need to give more time to the awards. And now you're saying it's too long.
It is too long.
And then I can already hear Jeff Keighley saying, "Make it make sense, Rand. What do you want here? Do you want more time for devs and awards?
No.
Or do you want a short show?"
Here's the thing: don't call it the Game Awards when it's not about the awards. It's a winter E3. Just call it the Winter Showcase or the Winter Game Fest, and we good. Don't pretend it's about the awards.
E3 had awards too, right?
I mean, but I'm saying don't pretend it's about the awards when it's not. Just call it what it is. Winter E3, bro. And then you can have it as long as you want. I'm just saying, by like, you start getting hour 2, and it's like going and going and going, and it's just like, all right, you start to feel it. And I guess maybe it's ironic coming from us when we do a 4-hour podcast every week. Which is longer than the Game Awards, and people tune in for this, and there's no world premiere. You notice he didn't have any world premiere, world exclusives. How do you?
Why do you keep using accents?
I'll just use as many different accents.
I don't like it. I don't like that one. You
don't like that?
Kind of creepy, bro.
Okay.
I don't like it.
I'll try not to use that one anymore.
Do it
Maybe
again.
that was my like elitist voice.
Elitist,
my elitist.
Like the Capitol in Hunger Games kind of thing.
Yeah.
You seen the Hunger Games?
I have seen Hunger Games. I've read Hunger Games as well.
Oh God.
Oh, another thing.
Why would you read it when there's a movie?
I mean, because I read it before it was a movie. I read the books before they were films.
Oh, before it was cool.
Yeah.
God damn.
Now, another reason why Blade may not have an Xbox logo on it or platforms announced for it, because if it's coming past 2027, Xbox won't even be in the industry, bro. Won't even be in the industry.
Why'd you have to go and put that in the universe, bro?
I'm just saying.
Why'd you have to do that, bro? To all the people out there who are hoping for hope. We're supposed to bring hope to this podcast. And there's Rand out here talking about Xbox leaving the industry. Again, with the doom and gloom. You never see me doom and gloom.
No. Jez Corden never dooms and glooms.
Nope, never.
Never writes articles
never.
about like deceptive marketing practices on Twitter. X.com.
You did it again!
Yeah, I know. Man. Let me just have it this one episode. Good old Collingwood in the super chat says, even best content creator got to make an acceptance speech. Yeah, she did. I believe it was like a VTuber. I have no idea who it was, but yeah, they got to give it a...
What VTuber won? I know some people who are really into VTubers, bro.
What VTuber won? What was... I don't... I'm sure somebody in chat... Look for the answer in chat, Jez, because I don't know. I had no idea who the person was. But then again, I'm old. I'm sure people in chat will know the name of the person, but I think she's pretty popular VTuber, or maybe the most popular VTuber.
Iron Mouse.
There you go.
So I don't know Iron Mouse.
We got the one and only Tim Dog in the house with the super chat. He says, "Beg for Blade. Xbox is at the point they need Xbox to go third party. Also, yeah, you killed the show, Rand, but you nailed. Xbox Party crashed that." So it's great to see Tim Dog here. He's going in on Twitter. I mean, that's kind of like where we talked about last week, where we did the show after Phil's interview that he did with you, which there's still people are still saying it was ambiguous, that you intentionally didn't ask him about them going third party or whatever the hell, right? And it was just like people are still like, see, and now it's like you feeding the flames with the blade stuff.
Yeah, god damn. Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, well, the thing is, Rand, here's the thing. The check cleared, right?
The check cleared, okay.
The check cleared.
How much was it for this? How much was it for this time?
$500 billion.
Damn.
Right? $500 billion. Like that's like half the national. Well, actually, it's nowhere near half the national debt of the United States. It's like 1% of the national debt of the United States. But but yeah, it was and Phil was like, dude, you can't ask me about this, and if you do, we need to make it as ambiguous as possible to make everyone upset, because that's what we do here. And I was like, oh, okay, well, can you up my fee to $1 trillion, please? And he was like, oh yeah, okay then. So now I can finally afford the rent on a small apartment in London.
Yeah. And even though you got that $1 trillion, you're still doing your job as a blogger and a game journalist.
Yeah,
just gotta make sure you're joking, because someone might actually take what you just said at face value and say, "Oh my God, they paid Jez, they paid
$500 billion."
Yeah, because there are a lot of idiots on this platform and a lot of idiots in the world. So,
well, dude, it doesn't matter now, because people can just make up anything you say with AI. So
that is true.
Why even bother? I'll just be like, I could say anything I want, and I'll just say, nah, it's fake. That's fake. It's AI. I never said that. Say anything I want.
They could probably just put this podcast into an AI thing and be able to perfectly recreate mine and your voice. We've said it.
Maybe we could
words.
Yeah, dude. We could just put our voices through AI and write the podcast script with ChatGPT.
Could we just have the AI beat us as we do the show? I don't know how that would go.
Maybe that's what we already did. Maybe we're AI speaking to each other right now and we don't even know it.
I guess it's possible.
I mean, we could be AI right now. Me and you. We could be AI and not even know it.
We got Robert Kellett. He says, and I thought ILP was the pause cast, lol. Yeah.
Pause cast?
Yeah, because of what you said. Webb says, PlayStation tweeted about everything at the show except OD and Blade. That's what I said to you yesterday, Jez, because you wrote the article, and I said to you, now, okay, this past year, when PlayStation had their showcase, where all the PlayStation fans were like, this is it, they're going to show us the roadmap. Remember, because they didn't get an award, they didn't get a game showcase for over a year. PlayStation skipped 2022. So when they finally did the PlayStation Showcase, this is the one that you hyped up on social media that I'm not going to let you live down. Where you're like, oh my God.
I liked it.
Yeah. But the member,
I liked it, bro.
I know you liked it, but my point is that
it's not my problem, bro.
As soon as the show ended, Microsoft put out that image with all the games that were multi-platform and coming to Xbox, including Sony's own, Bungie's own, which they're having some problems of their own, which we'll maybe get into a little bit later, but Marathon, right? And they're like, and Xbox had that image, and they're like, look at this great group of games, and there are people like, yo, Xbox, yeah, put your foot on their neck, and there are people like, yo, that's a console war tweet, what are you doing, that's disgusting, right? But it's like immediately, it's like, these are the games coming to Xbox, right? Letting Xbox players know what games from that showcase are multi-platform. Well, there was a lot of games announced at the Game Showcase yesterday. The Game Awards, or as I'm going to call it, the Winter Games Fest. And PlayStation tweeted about every single one coming to PlayStation 5 and put all those trailers for the games coming to PlayStation 5 and 4 on their YouTube channel. And the only ones they didn't were OD, Blade, and Hellblade 2. I mean... Now, I guess you could make the claim, well, of course, because, whatever. They don't even know the platform's Blade yet because maybe it's not even a PS5 game or what have you. Like, whatever. You can come up with stuff. But if I'm PlayStation and I know Blade and OD are coming to my platform, I'm tweeting about it. I'm being kind of petty like Xbox was, but they didn't. Does that mean something in the grand scheme of things? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it's also something to be aware of. Poochie.
Well, do you think they would do that if Mickey Mouse threatened them?
Oh.
And they were like,
Mickey Mouse?
sorry, Sony, you can't talk shit about this yet because we're still in negotiations.
Yeah, they're still in negotiations, but they're announcing the game.
I mean, they gotta hire people, right?
I mean, I know, but I mean, they're still in negotiations, but they're going to announce the game. But what happens if like no negotiations break off, and then what are you going to say? Sorry, we couldn't come to negotiations with Arkane and Microsoft, so actually, Blade's canceled. Our bad.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
actually, it's canceled. Yeah. Either way. We have a Poochie member for 22 months. Thank you. He says, starting to think Xbox likes discourse and attention when it comes to exclusivity. Laughing my ass off. Because regardless, we can get a logo or something of the sort. Maybe they do. Or maybe it's something else. Sith Lord member for 10 months. Thank you. He says, I hope I'm not on dialysis when Blade comes out. That would suck. My favorite trailer was a Scalebound trailer. Game of the year 2024. Have a good weekend. And hopefully you are off of dialysis by the time Blade comes out. Because that would not be cool. We have Jordan White saying, speaking of the logo, do you think Metaphor will be an Xbox exclusive? If not, why did they only show the Xbox logo at the beginning and the end of the trailer? It's not like this was an Xbox showcase. I believe that Metaphor game's already been announced for every platform because Xbox showed it at their own showcase, and it was just like the Xbox thing, and then a couple days later, I believe they confirmed it for PlayStation as well. It's kind of one of those things where, Xbox might have paid for the trailer spot. And if they did so, Xbox has the marketing for that game, so they want to plaster their own logo on it. As to why they didn't put their own logo on Blade, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, Microsoft sure knows they do have a logo because they plastered it all over the Metaphor thing. That is absolutely true.
What is that Metaphor thing? I think I missed that.
That's the Atlas game that's coming fall 2024 from the makers of Persona.
Oh yeah,
they got there was a nice look at the gameplay and everything yesterday. It looks really cool. I mean, I'm sure people who love the Persona franchise will be like, let me in on this. That looks really cool. But yeah, they had a nice extended trailer. But Jordan was right. I mean, it like bookended with the Xbox logo. No mentions of the other platforms, even though I'm pretty sure it's announced for the other platforms already. Jeremy G says, think Xbox keeps the Blade exclusivity under wraps for a bit to just generate more clicks and views on them making a Blade game. It's free publicity. That was kind of one of the things you said in your article.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a reach.
That like maybe they don't want to say anything because they know if they did, then PlayStation fans would be turned off and would completely ignore the game. So they kind of want them to feel like it's obtainable and it's something that they should want, only to then pull the rug out from underneath them and say, ha ha, get an Xbox or a PC or cloud.
Shouldn't that be the elitist accent there?
That should have been, but I didn't do it. I'm sorry. I have failed you. But yeah, that was one of the arguments Jez made. We got Gunstar. He's finally back. He says, I'm not dead. Hello, Gunstar. I'm glad to see you again.
Hey, Gunstar. How's it going, bro?
We have Lucia saying, what Japanese legislation would stop a game from getting a Japanese release on Xbox? Team 17 and X said, that's why Blasphemous can't come out on Xbox in Japan. Did you see this, Jez? Because I did.
Yeah,
what is up with that?
Weird, man. So I'm still trying to find this out. It's really weird, right? Because when there's these legislative issues, legislative issues, for some reason they won't just come out and say what it is. And it's like we kind of saw this with Xbox talking about the Xbox Series S in Brazil, right? They would never come out and give an explicit reason. They were just like macroeconomic conditions, whatever. I mean, why not just say like the specific export import rules, tariffs, laws, taxes, whatever? Just why not just say specifically what it is about the economic conditions that has led to the price increase? And I suppose this is a similar kind of scenario. It's like, can't you give it like a very specific reason why Blasphemous is on PlayStation, but legislatively cannot launch on Xbox in Japan? That is really weird. But I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea what that could possibly be. But I'm trying to find out. But again, sources often don't want to talk about this kind of thing for some reason.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in like what sort of legislation would stop that from happening. Yeah. We have Lord Henry saying the Alan Wake 2 concert made me want to play the game. Oh, love that Alan Wake 2 concert.
I haven't watched that bit yet.
Yeah, one of the best moments from the game. I remember like sitting there playing it, and be like, "Are they doing a musical?" And it was like one of the coolest things I've seen in like the last 10 years in games, and so awesome. And I'm really, really excited that they were able, like, Poets of the Fall as the old gods of Asgard came and were able to do it live. Although it's funny because, I was in a Discord call with 9 people and we're all talking, and everybody who played Alan Wake 2 and loved it was like jamming. I'm singing, to the lyrics, like, show me the champion of light, and I'll show you the herald of darkness.
No, stop, please.
What, you don't like my singing voice? You don't like me?
Yeah.
You don't like Alan Wake 2? You don't? I'm Alan Wake 2. I'm a writer. I'm not a writer. I'm a reader, but I can sing. No, I can't sing. But either way, Colt can sing though. And like, so the people
Colt can sing,
the people in my group that have played Alan Wake 2, we're jamming, dude. Right? And everybody else who hasn't played Alan Wake 2 are like, the fuck is this? Like, this is cringe, Wow. So that was great. Jay Slay says, Jeff, you delicious man, you. That part was cringe, lol. Okay. We got Valent. What?
What part was that?
I don't know.
No.
And we have Valorian saying, you know what other game that also hasn't been confirmed publicly as exclusive? That'd be Indiana Jones. But thanks to the FTC, we know it is. That is true, Jez. Or do we? Well, that is one of why the reasons Nick is up 3-0 on you. Even though, I mean...
It's not confirmed.
Well, it was confirmed by the FTC trial. Indeed, it is Xbox exclusive.
Nah. Plans can change.
They did change, because originally it was multi-platform like we said it was. But then they were like, no, we actually want this to be exclusive because we sort of need these IPs to fight against, Sony's Marvel games. And Indiana Jones was like, hey, no, remember, because that was the big thing, is like what Xbox was doing with Bethesda games in regards to exclusivity. And it came out during the trial. Unless you're saying like then they reverted back and now it's back to being multi-platform, but it's not. But it's right. That game was not announced with platforms and didn't have an Xbox logo on it, so maybe that's how they just announced these games. Oh God, here he is. Special Nick has dropped in the chat. He actually got up out of bed to post this because iOS wasn't working. And he says, hey guys, did Rand celebrate my greatness yet? Yes, Nick, I was very nice to you today. I was very nice to you, as according to our agreement, as long as you're nice to me on Xbox Air tomorrow. I gave you your flowers. So, Special Nick, just to reiterate, told me a week ago that the game was Blade, and indeed it was. So, kudos to you, Special Nick. Kudos to you, sir.
I mean, pretty much everyone in the entire industry knew. So it's not that impressive.
Not that impressive. Okay.
Not that impressive. Sorry, Nick. You're not all that. You're not all that, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is, but Baldur's Gate 3, Jez, how's it running on Xbox? It's finally out now. They forgot to announce it for Xbox during the Game Awards. They said to tune in for a special announcement, and the guy forgot to announce it for Xbox, which, to be fair, if he was supposed to announce it during the winning game of the year, that'd be kind of cringe, especially like when you're also trying to like thank team members and stuff. I'm not surprised he forgot about it. But it's the game that won the gameplay poll. You're playing the Xbox version. How's it hold up?
Yep. It's really good. I mean, I played it mostly in the summer on my Asus ROG Ally. So I was kind of used to the controls. But then eventually I downloaded it on my laptop and then started playing it with mouse and keyboard. And I was like, this is so much better. It's the kind of game it is, right? Like, it can be fiddly to click on the little objects and stuff. And to be fair, they've done a pretty good job of doing it. Like, if you are near a bunch of objects, you can cycle through them by pressing left and right on the D-pad. The controls are very good overall. But I think, like, the complexity of the game does lend itself better to mouse and keyboard. I haven't tried to see if it works with mouse and keyboard on Xbox. I'm guessing probably not, if it's a straight port from I don't know. But it runs really well. I was kind of disappointed, like, it's a bit, if you play on resolution mode, it's a bit juddery. So it's like the resolution's great, but it's like it's not smooth. It's not a smooth 30 frames. And I don't have VSync on this TV in England, so that probably contributes to the juddery feel of it. But the resolution is not ugly on 10. I don't know what the resolution is on performance mode, but maybe it's a little bit higher than 1080p. But it runs flawlessly on performance mode. 60 frames, rock solid, runs really well. Controls take some getting used to, but yeah, it's the same amazing game. And I apologize for the quality of this gameplay, because I was trying to remember some of the controls, and I do mess up multiple times by ending my turn early, unintentionally so. But yeah.
So do you think it's a game I would like? Because that's the whole thing. Like, you did gift me a copy of the game for Xbox, because I don't know.
You don't deserve it, but
I don't deserve it. But I was gonna start Cyberpunk, and then you're like, you need to play Baldur's Gate, and now it's out now. And I was like, oh, but I was about to play Cyberpunk, and you're like, well, play Cyberpunk and come to Baldur's Gate later. And I'm just wondering, because I'm looking at the gameplay now, and it's turn-based. It's kind of XCOM-y combat, which ish kind of looks like. No, it's not.
Not really. It's not like I wouldn't say it's like XCOM. Like, it's
like a tactics game.
It's close as a Dragon Age Origins.
So I'm not sure. I like whatever. I guess maybe if I do play it, I'll just turn. Can you just turn the combat gameplay to easy and just be like, whatever, I don't care. Just get me through the story and stuff.
Yeah, it has a story mode difficulty, but the combat's really fun though. Like, there's not like mountains of combat encounters. Like, and each combat encounter is kind of like, it's not like there's random battles, It's not like it's like, okay, now you're gonna do 2 hours of slogging through loads of different random combat. Like, every combat event, those are like named characters, and it's part of there's like a good reason for that combat to be happening. It's hard to describe, but you just have to go and see it for yourself. It's a really, really good game. Totally deserved to win Game of the Year. Love it.
Yeah, so maybe I'll play it at some point. I do have it. It's like 137 gigabytes. So we'll see. But I'm definitely going to play Cyberpunk, and I'm like super excited to release it. Hey, best ongoing game, right? Cyberpunk? Best ongoing game. It did win, even though I don't know if it should have been not. The funny thing is, like, this is how you know the awards are kind of screwed up. Because let's be real here for a second. Like, we could talk about best ongoing game and how Halo Infinite should have been nominated, or like Sea of Thieves, but they never are, mainly because the 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 media community doesn't really play in Xbox, so like they're not playing Halo or Sea of Thieves, right? But if we're actually voting for the best ongoing game, how does Fortnite literally just not win it every single year? It's like the definition of an ongoing game. It's like the best of the ongoing games. It's the live service that literally every single game wishes it was. How does Fortnite not
Surely
win
that's
that?
World of Warcraft.
No, I bet you World of Warcraft wishes it was Fortnite.
I doubt that.
100%. 100%. And
I
now Fortnite is actually having other games within its own platform. Like the Lego Fortnite game launched within Fortnite, and it looks kind of like a Valhalla Minecraft thing. So now there might be actually competition for Minecraft. Now it might actually light a fire under the asses of Mojang to actually kick it into high gear, because they've been coasting for a while. Zedek's been coasting. Maybe with everybody being like, oh my god, Lego Fortnite, let me play that instead of playing Minecraft or the rocket racing game, right? Fortnite is the ongoing game.
This is not the first time Lego has made a Minecraft game.
True.
They've done it. They had, I think it was called Lego Worlds. I think, and that was a mega flop. Mega flop. There's nothing to suggest that just slapping Fortnite is gonna.
No, I mean, but yesterday when they launched Lego Fortnite, it had right away 2 million concurrent playing it within Fortnite. There's a difference, like, to play like Lego Worlds, because you had to buy that product, and like, yeah, nobody's gonna buy it, but like,
free.
This is Fortnite and it's free. I'm just saying, like, the idea of an ongoing game. How does Fortnite just not win it every single year? It's the game every live service aspires to be. But like, somehow Cyberpunk won, right? Which, is that really even an ongoing game? That's up for debate, right?
I actually think at the very least, Warcraft should have been nominated. Like, it dominated Twitch all summer with the Rise to World First and now Season of Discovery. Like, seriously, like, a 19-year-old game, 19-year-old engine, and it's still commanding this kind of clout on streaming services. I think that is worthy of a nomination, at the least. If there was 1 year where it deserved nomination, it was probably this year.
Do you know what dominated Twitch yesterday?
Lethal Company?
No, the day before. Do you know what game's not dominating today on Twitch? The day before.
Oh god, the day before is like such an interesting story. Like, it was weird. Like, they put out a bunch of tweets last week saying like, "Oh, to all our haters who said the game was fake or an asset flip, we hope they change their tune or whatever." And it's like, bro, it's like one of the lowest rated games of recent memory. Yeah. I haven't actually checked it out much myself. All I know about it is that the Steam reviews are not good.
No, they are not good. I've seen a bunch of hilarious clips and stuff. So,
is it What is it? Is it broken? Is it what's wrong with it?
I mean, just kind of just ridiculous glitches. I saw a whole bunch, and this is seems to be a regular common bug. When you actually first take control of your character and stand up out of the bed, you'll die. I've seen so many clips of people being like, all right, I'm gonna be able to play, and you're getting up out of the bed, and it's like you fall through the map, and it's it just says dead.
That's so funny.
It's hilarious, but kind of sad. All right, so let us talk about what was shown off at the Game Awards. Just to kind of go through it quickly, just to get a sense of the games revealed there, and obviously we'll go in depth on the Xbox stuff and any of these sort of things. But started off with The Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons remake. I really liked this game when I played it on the 360, Summer of Arcade back then. And I mean, I'll play it again. It's a short enough game, super cool. It's kind of weird they're remaking it though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, we'll skip over this stuff like Pony Island 2 or Rise of the Golden Idol.
Pony Island?
Yeah, that's what it's called, Pony Island 2. We do have a new game from Finji, the makers behind the Xbox game with the fox. Damn, what was it? Kind of like a Zelda-ish game.
Oh, I know what you mean. I forgot what it's called. Tunic.
Yeah, their game Usual June look cool. Arknight's Enfield, Harmonium the Musical, Windblown, which was a new co-op roguelike from the developers of Dead Cells. Kind of had the same art styles as Dead Cells. Thrasher, which is a sequel or at least a follow-up to Thumper. And then they had a look at Persona 3 Reloaded, World of Goo 2. World of Goo 2. We had Metaphor ReFantasio. And then the show started proper here, right? They had Sidney Goodman come out to give some awards during the pre-show, and you had kind of these smaller reveals. And then it started off Jeff proper with the game that Matthew McConaughey came out for, and it's a sci-fi epic, which has me immediately interested, called Exodus. And it's a time-traveling science fiction game where it seems like you have a daughter or somebody you're really close with, and then you travel close to the speed of light, and then, it's kind of like Interstellar, where you stayed the same age, but everybody else around you kind of didn't. I don't know. I thought it looked super, super awesome. So, we'll see when this game comes out. I don't think there's a release date, but I don't know. Did you see this? I mean, you probably don't really care. This doesn't really seem like your sort of thing, right?
I didn't see that one.
Okay, you didn't see that one. Fair enough.
I've gone through a lot of the trailers, but there are some that I've missed clearly because some of these I didn't even see. I think it's weird because a lot of the games that were shown off didn't get uploaded to any of the main channels, I suppose. So I kind of went through PlayStation's and Xbox's channels to look for trailers. Right. Some of these weren't there, including
some of them are like
Microsoft's own game,
iOS. But it's in the playlist though. If you look, it's in their playlist. Bethesda announced it. We have what was a surprise. Although I guess if you've been following the rumors, it's not a surprise. It's a surprise of how close it's launching. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, which is a free DLC coming next week, December 12th, 2023. Free DLC, and it's basically a roguelike God of War, essentially.
Ooh.
It's like I think I'm pretty sure it takes place after the conclusion of the main story. And it's like the trailer definitely was like, yeah, there are some roguelike elements here. Roguelike, what I don't know exactly how you say it, but it really the thing is, when you're listening to the crowd and they start like PlayStation Studios pops up and people are like, okay, what you got here for me, Sony? And there's like a chair and you can sort of hear the symphony in your ears, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's God of War music. It was kind of playing a little bit low, but I'm like, that's definitely God of War. And then Kratos shows up and everybody in the audience just goes nuts, right? And then it was like December, and it was a really slow reveal of the date, December 12th, 2023. And then people are like, next week, So, free DLC is really cool. The thing is, I'm not the biggest fan of roguelite stuff in games. So while I definitely will try this out just to see, like, what's the story behind this part, it's kind of like, I wish it wasn't a roguelite thing, but whatever. It's cool for fans of God of War and for anybody who has a PlayStation that wants to, get more use out of their God of War game, right? I think they also...
I mean, that's... we're going to see more and more of that over the years, I think, where you get these, like, little updates for existing games and stuff like that.
Because there was a rumor there was God of War DLC or maybe a standalone, and it ended up being DLC. I think Sony also announced that it sold 15 million units, which is really impressive.
15 million?
I think they announced that. I could be mistaken, but, I mean, people do love God of War. Untitled Goose Game developers announced their next game, co-op puzzler called Big Walk. Seemed all right. And then finally, we have the first...
which one is that? Oh,
Heilong, yes.
Heilong, yeah.
Because they're doing like a piece for the game, right?
They're doing the entire soundtrack, I thought.
One Mill says, God of War isn't roguelike, stop making things up. Literally, that's exactly what they said this DLC was. Jeff Keighley literally said it on stage that it has roguelike elements. So why don't you stop making things up? Jesus Christ. just what? Because I said I don't particularly like roguelike stuff in my games. Suddenly I got people coming in here trying to be like, God of War's not a roguelite, stop it. They literally said it on stage. Are your ears filled with earwax? Did the sound waves not penetrate your eardrums and then decode it into your brain exactly what you're hearing? What are you talking about? Tell me 1 mil that they're not. What? Jesus Christ. And it's coming from me who like loves the God of War games and really enjoyed Ragnarok if I didn't think it was as good as 2018. And I'm going to play it. I'm just like, I don't really care for the roguelite stuff. Just like I don't really care for the roguelite stuff in Last of Us Part 2. But no, all right, well, no, you're making shit up. You're making shit up. Jesus Christ. Anyways. I mean, what the hell? That's so weird. Like, anything you could say, you literally say, roguelite. Anyways. So we're back to Hellblade, Senua Saga Hellblade, right? And so they had the band come out and they do the song, and I was sort of sitting there being like, they gotta have a trailer, right? Because they're debuting a song, but the game's not even out yet. The game doesn't even have a release date yet, and here's the song for it at the Game Awards. It seemed like it seemed odd, right? At least to me. And then they rolled into the trailer. And oh my Lord, Jez. Jez was trolling me before we started the show, guys, because he was trolling me about like Hellblade 2 and how the game still looks like a walking sim and how the combat is all not gameplay. It's all just QTE events. He's really trying to get under my nerves. Really trying to get under my nerves. And, dude, that trailer completely blew me away. Captured on Series X. The graphics look unreal. I mean, that game comes out this year. You're probably talking about one of the best looking games ever, right? Granted, it seems like it's taken a lot longer to get to us than most of us probably wanted. But like the studio head of Arkane Lyon said, he's like, let us cook. He's like, that's what we gotta do. You gotta let these teams cook. You gotta let Ninja Theory cook, right? And so we finally got to look at the combat for the game. And you know, it was played to like the song that they had just played, and the trailer was like one of the amazing trailer, but the combat's what everybody was wanting to see because we'd seen the game a whole bunch of times, but we'd never seen the combat. Granted, the combat does look very similar to what the combat was in the first game. Definitely seemed like a lot of one-on-one combat situations, but it definitely looked more brutal. Definitely was much more aggressive. Definitely looked more. I could definitely see the nuances and some of the changes that they were going for within the combat itself. As someone who's
changed, they've changed the size and shape of the QuickTime event.
Oh, shut up! Not only do I get tagged and stuff all the time now on Twitter about Rand the trending gamer, which is because of you. Nobody ever says any of that stuff to me until you started that whole thing about being a trended gamer. You know what you never get tagged in? You never get tagged in the fact that you never beat any games. How come that never happens?
Games, bro.
No, you don't beat any games. You don't beat anything.
One time I didn't. I beat.
You haven't even beat Baldur's Gate 3 yet.
Yeah, but I beat Starfield. For the review.
I mean, okay, you beat games for that you review, but otherwise, so see the thing.
Actually, I didn't. I technically didn't beat Starfield because I didn't do the Ryujin quest. So maybe does it matter if you don't do all the main missions? I haven't done that quest yet. But what are you talking about? I beat games all the time, bro. Mm-hmm. And if you count the fact that each World of Warcraft season is its own game.
Oh Jesus! Here we go.
I beat like 3 games.
How's Persona 5 coming along? You still on track to beat it by the end of this year?
You know, it's really funny, right? I was like, when I was setting up to come back to England, I was like, shall I take my, because I'm in England for a few weeks visiting family and stuff, and I'm like, shall I take my Asus ROG Ally, to play games and stuff? And I was thinking, oh, if I take my Asus ROG Ally, I can play Persona on the plane and work towards proving Rand wrong. I actually consciously thought about this, but I ended up just leaving it in my bag because it was too much hard work to play. So yeah, I admit my Persona foo is not going.
Yeah, Jez just gets
well.
under my skin because he knows what can get under my skin, like the whole trending gamer thing, and then he's immediately the one game I'm looking forward to the most. He's immediately just needling me. Looks the same, just a walking sim, combats, quick time events. And he knows how to get under my skin. You know what I mean? But no, the combat looked like way more aggressive, way more brutal. I could definitely see some of the additions they made. But like the different areas of scenery, like that game, man, I'm dying to play this game. And there's even parts of me when I was watching the trailer, I was like, is this like maybe gonna have prequel flashbacks? Because there's parts where you're with somebody, like a guy, and he tackles somebody in combat with you. There's a sword, and he sort of kind of looks like her boyfriend from the first game. So I wonder if they intermingle like the current storyline, which is after the first game, but then maybe have some flashbacks to the past. It was just something I noticed, but I couldn't be more happy with what I saw. Like, I am salivating thinking about Hellblade 2, right? And I know maybe that 1 mil guy's going to come in here with this roguelike comment. He's going to say, Rand's hyping up a game with a PlayStation, walking sim, and blah. And of course, some of these guys don't realize I literally played the game day one on PlayStation 4 and gave it like a 9 out of 10, right? It's like, no, get your facts straight about me first, buddy. But either way, then I'm waiting. I'm like, all right, come on. Let's go. Give me a date. Give me a date. I was hearing rumors that it was coming Q1 2024. You know, the person who told me it was going to be at the show said he thought it was coming Q1 2024. And I was like, please. And it just says 2024. And I'm like, okay. You know, granted, this, you know, I'm not going to say it's disappointing. We wanted the date. I want to know when I'm playing Hellblade. Certainly seems like sometime this year. I hope that rumor that it's coming Q1 2024 is true. I want it to be true. And maybe we get the release date with an Xbox Developer Direct. Which may or may not be happening next month, right, Jez?
Yeah, if that's happening, but Shinobi was teasing something on Racer, wasn't it?
I mean, I think Xbox likes the idea of doing these things. They're doing a lot more showcases, a lot more events. I mean, let's be honest, like the announcements that Xbox brought to the Game Awards were literally Xbox showcase level events. 2 of them could have been enders of the show. Like, Blade could have been a one more thing. The Kojima thing would have been a big part of any Xbox showcase. And that Hellblade 2 trailer would have been a centerpiece of any Xbox showcase. Those are Xbox showcase level announcements that they brought to the Game Awards. Now, whether it's because they needed to overcorrect because of all the criticism that they got last year, because we know that Xbox sort of does that from time to time. Like, if they get a lot of criticism about it, the next time it comes around, they'll kind of like go above and beyond, right? And kind of like, oh, okay, you guys didn't like this? Well, guess what? We're giving you a whole bunch of it, right? But then it's also the case of like, dude,
with that accent, you're doing a lot of accents today.
Yeah, I'm trying. But it's also a case of like, Xbox has a lot of games now. They got a lot of studios. So it's like they can't just keep everything. A lot of projects. They can't keep everything just bottled up. So yeah, like I think they'll have a developer direct. Whether it's in January is anybody's guess. And yeah, we'll probably see Hellblade again. And I guess maybe the one thing you will say about Xbox's 2024, even though we just from confirmed dates on trailers, we know Hellblade's coming and Avowed. and Our History Untold, and Towerborn. I think those are the 4 that are confirmed. Oh, and Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. So there's at least 5 games, not to mention like potentially a Gears collection if Special Nick is right. Maybe that comes out next year. Forza Horizon 6, 3-year dev cycle would be next year. Maybe that happens, right? So I mean, like,
there's just so much, man. And I keep thinking, like, because one thing I do keep thinking about Xbox's product slate is that we've got so many projects announced and so many that we're aware of, a wildly different phases of development. Like you like Everwild, like rebooted, Contraband, AWOL, and then you've got like Blade, which is just started development, and it's just like it's hard to sort of keep up with everything that's in development.
It's hard to remember.
Stuff that should be hard to remember. The stuff that should be nearer, like Hellblade or Towerborn, and then stuff that's way in the future, like Elder Scrolls 6. Fallout 5.
Well, that's
not even announced. It's like a figment of my imagination.
Yeah, right essentially, it's like a gleam in Todd Howard's eye at this point.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's one of those things where they're gonna have all these things, and they need to lay out the roadmap for Xbox's first party cadence this year. And what better way? Like, the Developer Direct was a big hit. People seem to really like it. They can sort of refine it. There's things that you can announce there. Like, you could easily show a whole bunch of stuff and announce, hey, here's Towerborn's coming first half of the year. Here's the release date for Hellblade and things like that. So I think we will see that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was also in January. But Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, like, it's been my most anticipated game since it was announced, and it just looks incredible. I know, like, this isn't really Jez's game, and that's fine, but it's my game.
What are you talking about? I love scripted quick time event walking simulator.
I don't want. I'm gonna mute him. I'm gonna boot him. Is what I'm gonna do here. But either way, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. That's our thoughts. We had a game called Kamuri. From Ikumi Nakamura's new studio, Unseen. She left Tango. She was the creative director of Ghostwire Tokyo, and she left, remember?
Oh, yeah.
She debuted her new game, but no idea when it's coming. We also got the announcement of No West for Wicked, which was a game that originally started out with these cutscenes that looked like paintings, but I wasn't interested in. And then it said, oh, by the way, this is from the Moon Studios, the developers of Ori. And immediately I sat up in my chair. I'm like, you have my attention. And then they showed the gameplay. It's a top-down ARPG. Don't know when it's coming. It's the first reveal trailer. But I don't know if I've ever gone from like, don't really care what this is, to like, yes, please. Just based off of the pedigree of Moon Studios, right?
That might have been my trailer of the show.
Really? You like that a lot? Okay.
Except for another one. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Then we could have what maybe some people would argue. I'm sure Special Nick would argue this, and maybe even Lord Cognito and others. The best announcement of the show, and that is Sega announcing not just one game, Jez. They announced 5 games. I don't know if this is like part of their Super Game initiative, but they had a trailer where they showed off the Jet Set Radio remake, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, and Shinobi, all saying, hey, these games are all in development. And I guess they've even done interviews later where they said, like, there's still more. They've
got a huge back catalog.
They do have a huge back catalog of great IP that they don't really use that much. They keep on putting out these mediocre Sonic games that only Everborn Saga cares about, that he hypes up and nobody else cares about. And it's like Sonic.
Throw Everborn under the bus.
I'm throwing Everborn under the bus. You you can tell him that. He'll listen to this later because I'm sure he'll call me and be like, "Well, you gotta take shots at Sonic like that." Nobody, like, you know how hyped people were for this, and you want to know why? Because it had nothing to do with Sonic. It had everything to do with all the other Sega stuff that people have been wanting them to do for a long time. Like Crazy Taxi looked great. Jet Set Radio. I mean, the Golden Axe thing, I was kind of like, like, I don't know about that, but Streets of Rage 4?
Good.
Shinobi? I thought Shinobi looked outstanding.
You don't like Golden Axe?
I didn't like, no, I don't know, because when I saw what it was, I was kind of like, I don't know if that's going to play well. But hey, kudos to them for bringing it back, because how many times have we got a Microsoft for sitting on their whole smorgasbord of unused IPs that they do nothing with, where like Phil's then being like, "Hey, Banjo fans, I hear
Banjo,
you," and like, who knows how long it's gonna take for a Banjo game to come out? But like Sega's like, no, we're doing our, we're doing it up with, revitalizing our older IPs, right? I did see Paul Tassi make a joke being like, "Nice to see all the IPs that Xbox will own in a couple years." I thought that was kind of funny.
Dude, I'm just like, they're not going to acquire them now, surely. You see how much regulatory pressure Microsoft's under right now? Like the CMA in the UK, they're like, okay, we'll let you have Activision Blizzard. But now they're talking about taking away OpenAI from them, and they're investigating that for antitrust concerns and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, why do you want Google to control the whole internet? Because that's basically what they're saying. Google's developing its own AI, and they're saying like Microsoft's not allowed to have anything. It's like, what? So they say the FTC and the UK CMA are now coming after Microsoft AI. And meanwhile, the FTC is still trying to block the Activision deal.
Still,
which is why I haven't lost the bet yet. By the way,
they're still trying their hardest. They're still just wasting all the taxpayer money, trying to trying to do all that stuff. We got a super chat here from Nintendo Don the Otaku. This is the first non-Atlas or RGG associated with Sega has had since Jet Set Radio Future. Sega might actually be back. Maybe.
Oh.
Okay. And we also have...
Did Sega ever leave? They're doing all right, aren't they? I mean, it's not with games that people want them to be doing.
Yeah, they're doing... I mean, like, they've been putting out the Yakuza games at a clip and the Persona games, and they've been putting out, like, these Sonic games that nobody really cares about, but this got a lot of people excited. I've seen a lot of reaction clips of people at this being like, "Oh my god, my childhood has returned," right? Dead Planet says, besides it being Marvel, Blade really isn't some massive IP that feels like it should be multiplat like Spider-Man. Was it started after Bethesda buy? We'll talk about that a little bit later. I've seen people talk like this, like, "Oh, Blade's not that big of a character," or whatever, which, I mean, obviously it's not Spider-Man, but Xbox fans have been clamoring for I don't know how long about this idea that Xbox needs its own superhero game. And then when it finally comes along, they're like, "It's not big enough." That's what she said. And Jabber says, "Hey Jez, thanks for always helping the community. Just wish if someone wrote anything regarding Overwatch 2 Middle East servers. More than 2 months, a whole new season, and the latency is still like 100 to 180 milliseconds."
Yeah, so what this story is, Blizzard moved the Middle East servers for Overwatch to another country, I believe. And now there's like a routing issue where the servers can't decide whether they want to connect to servers that are sort of in the Mediterranean or something. I haven't covered it outright explicitly, but I will. I think I will, because it's still going on, I suppose. It's kind of annoying because it is like, it's an infrastructure issue, right? And I think like some of this stuff is really complicated to handle. I remember like with Blizzard with servers, like Australia didn't have its own servers for WoW or any game for years, and like they were connecting to like servers on the West Coast in America. Like, can you imagine how bad the latency was for Australian players? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's why Special Nick's such an angry person.
Maybe. But hey, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/XB2. Get a whole bunch of submit a question, get your name on the scroll bar, access to Xbox Ultimate and Xbox 2+1. A lot of great things there. Continuing on, we got a new Dragon Ball game called Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. We got a single-player narrative-focused game set in the Dead by Daylight universe, Jez.
Yeah, that was
it's a horror game.
Kind of unexpected.
Well,
it would be, right?
Yeah, but I think
I would have thought.
Made by Supermassive Games, called The Casting of Frank Stone. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if the people who love Dead by Daylight multiplayer are going to be clamoring for a single-player horror game, but you never know. And Square Enix back on Xbox. I saw this trailer, and my first thought was Miles Dampier. I'm like, he must be so incredibly happy right now because they announced a new Mana game from the series, Visions of Mana. And, everybody's expecting, is this, is it going to be for Xbox? And indeed it is. So are we seeing some of the fruits of that new relationship between Xbox and Square Enix? Phil Spencer on stage. Jez, what do you think? Is this the new beginning, essentially?
I think it's the start. It's something, I suppose what people really want is Final Fantasy 7.
Obviously.
They want 16. They want the Final Fantasy game. But Mana has Mana, and I didn't know this. I had to sort of do a bit of research because I never played any of the Mana games, and this is the first Mana game that mainline Mana game that is released in 15 years, I believe. And these games it was originally a Final Fantasy spin-off. In America, they called this the first Mana game was called Final Fantasy Adventure or something, and then in the West. And then it was called something else in Europe. And then Square Enix was like, well, actually, why don't we just spin this off into its own thing? Because it's more action oriented, right? It wasn't the turn-based Final Fantasy. It was active combat, which is funny because now Final Fantasy itself is active combat. But anyway, that's another horse to beat for another time. A dead horse. But you beat an alive horse, that's kind of another dimension of being mean and horrible to the horse. But anyway, it looked pretty cool. Super vibrant art style. Kind of these, from what I understand, these games are kind of wholesome in nature.
Wholesome. No wonder Miles likes it so much.
Yeah, it's wholesome. So, it's good to see, and hopefully, because some of those Mana remakes as well come to Xbox. We're still waiting for pixel remasters to come as well. That's one thing. Miles goes on about wanting the Mana remakes. I want the the pixel remaster remakes because it's it's just what you're nostalgia for at the end of the day. I grew up on Final Fantasy, never played a Mana game, but clearly Miles was all about Mana when he was a kid. Man, it's weird, man. Miles Dampier used to be on our side, on the creator side, but now he's community manager at I can't remember the studio's name. What's up, man?
Studio that's doing the Ghostbusters game.
Yeah. I mean, he's a huge Ghostbusters fan, so it's kind of the ideal job for him. But shout out to Miles. Miles is awesome. I'm sad that I don't work with him anymore.
Yeah, and next we had another Xbox game. We had Kojima take the stage to talk about OD. So it's interesting because Jeff was like doing this whole kind of spiel right beforehand, talking about like this next game direct, and he just like, you could tell he's about to be Kojima, right? And then it pops up a Hideo Kojima game, right? And the crowd just erupted. They're like, yeah, right? And then it wasn't Death Stranding 2.
Oh.
And the cheers died down a lot. Because it's his new game.
Was that the rumor?
What?
that the rumor? It was going to be Death Stranding 2.
Well, I mean, like, we know that he is working on Death Stranding 2, and it was revealed last year at the Game Awards, so maybe people were thinking we would see a new trailer for Death Stranding 2. We'd known about the Xbox game, because that was revealed in 2021, and it was kind of like, well, is Xbox really going to reveal or talk about OD here? Like, how far away is that game? But no, they had this little trailer showcasing 3 of the main actors, but I don't know if it was like actual real life footage of them, or if it was, if it was in game, like graphics. And I know they're using like MetaHuman, which is like Epic's AI thing. But this is what it says at the Xbox Newswire blog about OD, right? Kojima came out and talked a little about it. Said it's like a interactive movie, but it's still a game, and he wants to like push boundaries, and it's horror. I don't know if anybody noticed, because I told this to you, Jez, but the door that Kojima came out of was the door in PT, right? So they're kind of evoking that PT imagery. This definitely seems like a horror game, right? Which is something that I love to see Xbox do. Like, we don't
Jordan Peele's involved. Right?
And then, so this is what it says. It says, Kojima Productions and Xbox Game Studios officially announced OD, which, it's Overdose, but they're calling it OD for short, at the Game Awards. World-renowned game creator Hideo Kojima has partnered with Academy Award-winning filmmaker Jordan Peele, the acclaimed film director of Get Out, Us, and Nope, who will be one of the several talented storytellers involved in the project. A Hideo Kojima game, OD, explores the concept of testing your fear threshold and what it means to OD on fear, while blurring the boundaries of gaming and film. The new teaser for OD also reveals Sophia Lillis, Hunter Schafer, and Udo Kier, who will play the lead roles in the upcoming project. So, I mean, just from that little blurb there, Jez, what do you think?
I mean, it sounds lovely and pretentious. To be honest. And I think it kind of leaked that this wasn't going to be a traditional video game. And it sounds like something you will love, to be honest.
Something I would like.
Minimal gameplay, trendy, and QuickTime heavy. So I'm it doesn't sound like it's for me, but we'll see. I loved what they were I love the vibe that Kojima was creating with PT, but I was expecting a Silent Hill game at the end of it, an actual game with a gun or something I can use. But if this is going to be some kind of interactive movie thing, like FMV kind of game from like the 90s,
I mean, maybe.
I ain't interested. Sorry. But from a technical perspective, the fact that we're sitting there questioning whether or not those graphics were CGI or not, I think that's kind of interesting to me. We get into that uncanny valley level of graphics, just not knowing whether something's CGI or not. It's kind of wild, right? So I'm intrigued by it, but I also think it just might end up not being a game for me. And that's probably why people were like, "Oh my god, it's Kojima," and then they stopped cheering because they're like, "Oh, it's an FMV movie that I played on my Sega Saturn."
I don't know about that. I mean, they are using the cloud in some way. They didn't mention
to download
that.
your data.
To download your data.
Advertisers.
Oh my god, Jez, why are you like this? Why can't you just be joyous?
I won't be, man. Sorry, I've got an Xbox tax to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was on PlayStation, it'd be a AAA banger. But because it's on Xbox, I got to tack it.
But if it was on PlayStation, it wouldn't win any awards, though.
Oh no!
Because Xbox won three awards. Forza Motorsport won 2 awards: Best Innovation and Accessibility, and Best Racing Game. And Hi-Fi Rush won Best Audio Production or Audio Design, I believe. Right?
It did.
So yeah, I mean, we don't know much about OD. We get the hype statements from Hideo Kojima through his translator. Like, it's funny, like, Kojima's talking, and he's talking and talking and talking. I'm like, dude, the translator's not going to remember all this, right?
But then they do, because that's what they tried to do.
Yeah, but then they do, or it's like a script. Either way, like you can tell, like sometimes with Xbox, you can just tell which games they think are going to be big and which is the ones they pour a lot of marketing money into. And you can tell this game is going to be one of those games that they are going to pour their marketing muscle behind, right?
You really think so?
Oh, dude, they were wearing OD shirts, like both Jordan Peele and Kojima. I mean, they had the stage reveal. Absolutely, absolutely. Like we've seen the pictures of the whole Xbox marketing team visiting with Kojima recently, right? Like we don't see that with other teams. And like when you have an auteur or a legendary game developer like Hideo Kojima and you're working on his game, yeah, you absolutely have to deliver the marketing muscle, right? You look at like something like Fable, which I think we've always talked about. Like that is, Xbox has a lot of, things that might going to be one of their next big games. But absolutely, like now we know that the game's Overdose. And to me, it seems like Microsoft will they're definitely going to throw their marketing behind it. I mean, Hideo Kojima games, whether you like them or hate them, he always generates conversation. He always generates interest. And, it's a game that's going to probably be on Game Pass, I would imagine, or maybe it's free. I don't know. But
this was a game that was going to be designed for the cloud, right?
Or it was a game that was originally, I think, with Google before Google stepped away. But this is the sort of game that Xbox needs, just like kind of Blade, because it captures the imaginations of a lot of people. And
it has... I mean, this is kind of why I suppose they're partnering with him. Like, he does these kind of... At least he's got a reputation for being an innovator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Xbox has got a lot of tech it wants to test out. It's doing stuff with AI and ChatGPT. You've got a whole team led by Kareem Chowdhury exploring AI in video games, right? And they got this big partnership with OpenAI and ChatGPT and DALL-E image generation and all this kind of stuff. What does a video game look like when you incorporate this technology in the cloud and whatever? You need, for lack of a better word, you need crazy people. You need crazy people like Kojima to potentially figure that out, and it could just be a total mess and just be like, well, this just doesn't work, but you don't discover gold without trying new things. I think some things just don't come that obviously, I think like, there's all that sort of classic talk about how Bethesda never expected the horse armor for Skyrim to for Oblivion, to completely change the industry, and it did. You never know where it's going to come from, but gotta try. And I'm trolling it, saying like it's going to be a movie game, it's going to be a trending game that Rand likes to play, and all this stuff. But from a technical and purely critical point of view, I'm intrigued, man. And I do like some of Kojima's games. I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the best games ever made.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to top that game. There's some of the events and the things that happen in all the Metal Gear Solid games are just unlike any other game. The way it's made you feel, and I remember like in Metal Gear Solid 4 when you go back to Shadow Moses and the music kicks in. I felt like I don't think I've ever felt that kind of nostalgia hit from anything in my life. When that music kicks in, I was just like, my God, that is genius.
Yeah, and I remember how much like when Kojima left Konami and PlayStation immediately announced their partnership with him, how like people were so hype for it. Right? It was like, oh my God, what's he doing? Like, granted, Death Stranding's a little, there's people that don't like it because it's like a FedEx delivery simulator where you're delivering packages. But even still, like,
that's your kind of game, right?
Well, no, I mean, I played it. I liked it, quite a bit. I mean, I think I gave it like an 8 or an 8.5. But yeah, I like Kojima's games, and I'm interested to see like where he goes with this one. But the thing is, like, when he announced his partnership with PlayStation, people were super excited, and it brought this prestige to the platform. Like, oh, you're getting a Kojima game, and it's an exclusive? And I feel like that's something Xbox is missing out, and now they have their own Kojima game, right? And it's presented like a big thing. How big of a segment that got at the Keighleys, right? You got Jordan Peele coming on stage to talk about it. Like, that is all just like, hey, it's Xbox. It's Kojima, but you're only going to be able to play it here and probably on PC. And that's the sort of mind share that Xbox needs to recapture. It's like, all right, regardless of what it might be. Like, you could be right. Maybe it's just an interactive FMV game that people used to play in the 90s or whatever. Or maybe it is this cutting edge, like, fusion of gaming and film, right? Where it's like, you take risks, and sometimes the risks pay off. I don't know, I sort of feel like this game's either going to, like, redefine, like, horror games, and, like, or it's going to, like, crash and burn. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just
no in between.
I don't know if there'll be an in between. I'm sure there'll be people be like, it's Kojima, it's a 10 out of 10, and there'll be people who are like, it's Kojima, it's a 2 out of 10, right? No matter what. But it's definitely generating conversation. So
yeah, we'll see.
Let's see. Then we had a Jurassic Park Survival from, I think, Saber Interactive, a game set, basically a day after the 1993 original film, where that's like cool. A scientist is left behind. Definitely got my attention. I mean, as I say, it's like Jurassic Park Survival. I just hope it's not so much like a survival game where I need to, like, eat food and stuff. But I mean, when they're evoking the imagery of the OG film, and it's like a AAA game set in the Jurassic Park world, because we've had, you got Jurassic Park games that are like, hey, you can build, there's like Telltale game, there's like kind of like park builders or whatever, but like, how about an actual AAA game set in that universe? Like that's I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to it. We got Rocket Racing, which I think launches today in Fortnite. Once again, Fortnite best ongoing game, even though it wasn't. Black Myth Wukong got another trailer with the release date August 20th. Looks really cool. Excited to play it this year. Suicide Squad
had Souls-like. Is that going to be?
It seems like it. It seems like it will be. Yeah. It's action RPG. It seems like it's going to be. It's going to be that based on Chinese mythology. We got a trailer for Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League coming out February 2nd, and I believe they made the announcement later on that an offline mode will be coming soon after launch. So for all of you worried that about, like, it's online only, you'll be able to play it offline at some point. They showed off the new update to Warframe. The 1.0 release for Ready or Not is coming next week on PC. We have Tales of Kenzura, which I don't even really remember this. We have another game from Rand Jez, makers of Life is Strange, which is what they said during the trailer, called Lost Records Bloom and Rage.
Interesting.
And I thought it was kind of interesting. I do like Life is Strange, and I do like Rand. I don't know, it seems like it's be one of, like, a game in there, that category of style, right?
So
probably narrative based.
Like Life is Strange, narrative adventure.
I mean, that's what they evoked. There's, like, from the makers of Life is Strange.
Fair enough.
We got a game called The First Berserker, Kazan, an action RPG based in the Dungeon and Fighter series. We had Apex Legends, Final Fantasy VII coming to Apex Legends. The release date for Skull and Bones coming February 16th, 2024. I'm going to skip over this Blade thing because obviously we're going to talk about it a lot, so I'll just go through the rest of these things. We got a game called Last Sentinel from Lightspeed Studios, which, CGI trailer, robots and stuff, I thought looked cool. Trailer for The First Ascendant, which is a looter shooter, coming summer this year. We got a Zenless Zone Zero, which is a upcoming dungeon crawling game from the Hoyoverse, which isn't that the people who make Genshin and Honkai Star Rail?
Yes.
So I think, is that their new game?
I guess so.
I guess it is. A game called Mecha Break, Den of Wolves, which is a action heist game from the developers of Payday and Payday 2. Look interesting. Exoborn.
Should they be focusing on Payday 3? Or is it a different studio?
I think it might be a different studio.
All right.
Maybe.
Because interesting about Payday 3 is that more people are playing Payday 2 right now.
Another an extraction shooter from the developers of Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt called Exoborn, which they already stopped development on that Vampire Masquerade Blood Hunt game. So
yeah, did they put that on the trailer? This is kind of like, why would you think that's a good thing to market against your game?
I know, right? Asgard's Wrath 2, which is sequel to the VR game, which I don't really have any interest in. We have No Man's Skies developer. God, what's the name of the developer?
Hello Games.
Hello Games. Their next game, Light No Fire, which it definitely kind of seemed like No Man's Sky, but like in a fantasy world.
No Man's Sky with dragons.
Yeah, and people were don't make promises you can't keep. Like, because it definitely kind of seemed like all the sort of things they were promising for No Man's Sky that they didn't hit for launch, but definitely seems quite ambitious.
Yeah, I saw someone say something like they missed a great opportunity to call it No Man's Land.
Oh, okay, No Man's Land. Okay. Yeah. We got a game called Stormgate, which is an RTS from Frost Giant.
From the devs of. That's what happened to the StarCraft team. They all went and made a new studio, and that's why there's no StarCraft 3. And that's why Microsoft doesn't have a team to make StarCraft, is because Activision kicked them all. Well, they didn't kick them all out. They were just like, look, we're not making this, so GTFO. And they were like, okay, fine, we will GTFO. Not only that, but we'll make our own StarCraft game with a new IP. But yeah.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 getting some DLC that was out now, and like an expansion coming early next year. The finals, they announced that it was shadow dropping tonight. You can play it right now on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. And then the world premiere is probably Jez's trailer of the show. Capcom, the Cap Gods, after dropping the release date and all this stuff about Dragon's Dogma 2 coming out on March 22nd. They come to the Game Awards with the first trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds. So, okay, Jez, talk your shit. Go ahead.
I told you about that, right?
I mean, you did tell me about it, yes, but I'm sure tell the people how excited you are for. I think everybody knows, right?
I'm going to book 2 weeks off work for Monster Hunter Wilds. I found out about this a few days before the show went live. I was telling Rand about it, and that's why I started tweeting that I was excited now. Blade, I was like, yeah, that would be pretty cool. And then Monster Hunter Wilds, I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be fantastic. However, I think I overhyped myself a little bit because I was expecting to see. Yeah, I think so. I was expecting to see a little bit more. They didn't really show any combat. They didn't really show any. They showed sort of ambient creatures, not necessarily actually bosses that you fight. So it was the very, very definition of a teaser. They showed like some of the traversal mechanics. They're keeping the palamutes and the mounts from Monster Hunter. What's it called now? Monster Hunter Rise. So it's not a palamute, but it's like they're keeping the mounted combat, and this new mount can fly or glide, which kind of helps with the traversal and stuff like that. Supposedly, it is going to be full-blown open world Monster Hunter, unlike Monster Hunter World, which is sort of like split into hubs, right? So Monster Hunter World is split into different areas, and they're pretty big areas, chasing monsters all around them. But apparently, this is like one continuous big open world, which is actually a first for Monster Hunter franchise, I think. Like up until now, it's all been like, okay, you go to the Badlands, and it's like a desert area, and then you load into this area and whatever, and you take like a mission, and it takes you to an area, right? The areas they've been pretty big. Like the areas in Monster Hunter Rise are pretty damn big, Monster Hunter World pretty damn big, and then they added more. Then with DLC, they add more and more areas, right? But this is like one continuous open world. So supposedly, I can't remember where I read that, but yeah, it's gonna be super good. And because Capcom doesn't miss. Capcom is probably the world's most consistent,
I mean, yeah,
high quality developer right now.
last few years they've been on fire, bro.
On fire. Capcom is on fire. They're undefeated. Like banger after banger after banger, and like the only real blip was Resident Evil 3, which overall I still really enjoy.
What about that Dino Crisis-ish game that just came out? I mean,
They're still updating it. And
what was it called?
Exoprimal.
Exoprimal, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Exoprimal's like I was expecting that to hold my attention more than it did. But sorry, I bounced off that game so hard because it is really formulaic, and it's like every match is exactly the same. All the like you play like 2 or 3 matches, and it feels like, yeah, I'm not going to get any more out of this. But from what I understand, they've been sticking with it and updating it and listening to feedback, and maybe one day, it could end up being like Deep Rock Galactic, where Deep Rock Galactic launched in early access. It was decently popular, but there wasn't much to it. And then they grew it, and they grew it, and they grew it, and now it's Deep Rock Galactic is like this huge thing with a really passionate community. And I suppose Sea of Thieves is similar, so maybe Exoprime will have the same renaissance, but also maybe not. I suppose that's where Capcom hasn't really been particularly great, is multiplayer service games. I mean, I know Monster Hunter is a multiplayer online game, but it's not like a service. It's not like a live service kind of live ops kind of thing, and you can play the whole game solo. And a lot of people do play the game solo, so it is like it's an online, it's an offline game with multiplayer features, not like a proper live service game. But I do wonder if like Monster Hunter Wilds will go deeper into that territory. But it was also quite interesting. I suppose, like, if this was supposed to be some kind of live service game, you'd think they would have shown it in the teaser, but there was only one dude in the teaser, so maybe it's just really early or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm super hyped for that. That was my trailer of the show.
Yeah, it was 2025. I knew you were gonna be super pumped on it, right?
Yeah.
And then they forgot to announce Baldur's Gate 3 for Xbox. It's out now, but obviously, the one game we skipped over because I knew this was going to be dominating the conversation, and here we go. We have, Jeff said, hey, got a new trailer here from the people that won Best Studio or something for 2021, and then on screen it says from the creators of Dishonored and Deathloop. And then it's interesting watching the reactions online because some people immediately like it's Blade because they knew, but other people are like, what is this? This looks like Deathloop 2. Or some people are like, this looks like Dishonored 3, right? Because there was the leak from Bethesda that a Dishonored 3 was coming, which I don't know if it's really true. I think we had been told that 2 or 3 games on that list aren't real and never will be, or whatever, essentially, right?
Yeah, that Doom Year Zero game apparently is never coming out.
Well, I think they're working on something else, but I had been told like a couple of those games on that leak list are, will never come out. Like they never started development, essentially.
Yeah.
And so people are like, and then finally they get to the realization like, well, wait a minute, this dude's wait, is that Blade? Right? And you can see people's excitement, and I like the look of the trailer. It's got the aesthetic look. I thought the trailer did a great job of showcasing kind of like, maybe the vibe they're going for a little bit. Seeing that like iconic, he's got his back turned and he's pulling out the sword. It's very similar to the very first movie poster for Blade that came out back in like the late 90s. And then they had the creative director and the dude from Marvel on there to talk about it with Jeff, right? And they basically said, hey, in honor of
every time you say Jeff, I think Jeff Grubb. And I'm like, yeah, I know you mean Jeff Keighley, but every time you say Jeff, I think Jeff Grubb, and I think, wow, Jeff Grubb got to present a reward.
Like, if I talk about Grubb, I say Grubb, right? It's the Grubster, like the Grubbinator, who's doing amazing work on Giant Bomb, hosting the couch. Like, he did like 6 hours of stuff over there. Like, I love Jeff Grubb. He's like amazing.
Jeff Grubb.
Yeah, we got Jeff Keighley, and he was with the two people. And they talked a little bit about it. And on Bethesda's website, they say, because then some of the reactions I saw, people were like, first-person Blade? Like, what? Because Arkane's only made first-person games, but they made sure to say, no, it's third-person. You obviously probably want to see the character. They basically say, hey, it's a mature single-player, adventure, right? Play Blade how you want to play Blade. And I just got a lot of sense from I think I'm saying his name wrong, but the creative director of Deathloop and the head of the studio, there's a lot of passion involved. Like, there was like, Blade was a game and a character that meant a lot to him. So when they pitched it to Marvel, they fell in love. And even Pete Hines said, like, their pitch for Blade was fire, right? And obviously Marvel agreed because they're doing the game together. And I get a sense that, like, man, they really are looking forward to bringing Blade to life. Right, and it's like super cool. Xbox fans had asked for Xbox to have their own superhero game. We were wondering what Arkane might be doing after Deathloop. There's like, are we doing Deathloop 2? And maybe they still are doing Deathloop 2. Or I don't know if Arkane Lyon is big enough to do 2 games, or maybe the other game they were working on is already finished. I sort of feel like this is a Machine Games case.
Man, I don't want Deathloop 2.
Or Dishonored 3. I sort of feel like, remember with Machine Games, people were like, there has to be a Wolfenstein 3. Because they haven't done anything since 2017. Like, they released Wolfenstein 2. They did the co-dev game with Youngblood in 2019. And they hadn't announced anything. And it was like, here's Indiana Jones. And we were convinced, well, it was like, okay, well, when Xbox acquired Bethesda, they were going to announce a Wolfenstein 3. And here we are in 2023, and they haven't. And there are people holding on to the copium that, like, it's a game that's just waiting to be revealed or whatever, when more likely the game just doesn't exist. Like, they started working on it and shelved it to work on Indiana Jones. And, okay, so what were they doing this whole time? The same thing happening here. Like, I think people are like, well, Dishonored 3's got to be finished, right? It was in the leak. So maybe like Dishonored 3 is already done and this is just like a small team working on it or whatever. But I'm not sure that's the case, because if you look at like what Arkane Lyon was doing, they finished Deathloop and shipped it on PlayStation in 2021. Then they did like the 1 year like DLC thing where they added more stuff to the game. So obviously people had to work on that. And if you look at the credits on Starfield and Redfall, there are a bunch of Arkane Lyon guys in the credits for both of those games. So I wonder if you had some of the studio working on the Deathloop DLC, some of the studios helping on Redfall and Starfield, and maybe some people at the studio working on a pitch to Marvel, and like Dishonored 3 just never started. So I don't know. I don't think there's just like a Dishonored 3 game that's almost finished, just kind of waiting in the wings, that's going to be announced soon. Because they did come out and say, hey, this game's early development. I saw a tweet from an Arkane Lyon developer said they've been working on it for a year. But that's not what the discussion is surrounding this game, right?
What's the discussion?
Discussion around this game. There was a Jez Corden article today.
Are you blaming me?
No. I'm not blaming. I'm saying you wrote an article about it.
Blame me.
You're servicing your readers, right? Cloberl super angry on Twitter, right?
He's not happy about it.
And it comes down to this: Xbox logo, baby. Where it at? And it was trending on Twitter because, there's been, I don't know what you want to call it, concern. There's been people that are a little bit jumpy at the idea of maybe Xbox going third party, right?
Yes. And who do we blame for this? Tim's do it.
Tim Stewart had some recent comments. You did the interview with Phil last week where they're like, we're not bringing Game Pass, no plans, blah, 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 blah. And, As Dusk Falls, which was an Xbox published game, just got announced for PlayStation 5, and people are using that as sort of like ammo, being like, see, it's beginning, Xbox is going third party, look at the Blade stuff, no logo, you guys just don't see it, right? Xbox is about to go third party, or Xbox is about to leave the industry, or Xbox is a monopoly. You can't keep this stuff straight half the time, right? Although As Dusk Falls, if you guys do recall, As Dusk Falls was a game that was dropped by Sega, and Xbox picked up the publishing for it, and now it's coming to PlayStation 5, and it's actually self-published by the devs on PlayStation 5.
Through the indie program, which is similar to ID Xbox.
Yeah,
right?
even though I do think Xbox actually owns the IP. So I don't know how that works out. They're not publishing the game on PlayStation, so I don't know. And we know the Aura games are on PlayStation. There might be something with Xbox Global Publishing stuff that maybe, hey, after a certain amount of time, you can put it on other platforms. So, the talking point, the whole domination of the thing, it's not, at least in our circles, elsewhere, I think people are just happy there's a Blade game coming, right? And I am too, right? Most people are like, hell yeah, there's a Blade game. That seems super cool. Can't wait to see what Arkane does with this. But there's a segment of the people that are like, Xbox fucking up. What the fuck they doing? Why can't they just be consistent? And, we talk about Xbox marketing. You talk about a unified marketing message. And that's Cloverill's whole thing. It's like, hey, there needs to have like a unified marketing stuff. Sometimes they do these things that are really good and sometimes they don't. And, a lot of people feel that this whole discussion we're having is overshadowing the announcement of the game itself. And now that the next 4 years, or however long it's going to be while we wait for this game to come out, is going to be dominated just like the Bethesda acquisition was dominated by, will it come to PlayStation? Because remember, it was Starfield coming to PlayStation, is Elder Scrolls, are these all games coming? And that dominated a lot of the talk about Bethesda. I mean, how, Call of Duty dominated the Activision discussion, and Xbox and Microsoft were right away being like, no, we're keeping it multi-platform. And I still remember you were the only person saying it, that nope, that game will be everywhere. Everybody else is like, it'll be exclusive. So you gotta you tip your hat to Jez, and you took the brunt because the Xbox fans in our chat that day were not having that, right? And look, I get I get like the frustration around the lack of clear messaging. I understand that, but also I don't think that's like the whole entire case, because I do feel that some of this stems from the console war of, how can I lord this game over the PlayStation fans? How can I like dangle this on my list wars and being like, I think for some people this game is like, yeah, and obviously, maybe it's a small group, but I do feel like sometimes within the people that we follow and the community we're in, there's definitely a feel like this is payback. We have our own exclusive game. It's payback, PlayStation guys. You have to get an Xbox, right? And so I get like the messaging part, and it's like, yeah, why not tie your brand to this game? Why not have an Xbox logo right there, right as it starts, being like, boom, Xbox, Blade, tie it to your brand. Like, why not do that? And I understand that. For some people, it's the idea of like, well, I don't know if it's exclusive, so like, how can I enjoy it if I don't know it's also coming to PlayStation, my dude? You know what I mean?
Why is he a surfer?
He's just a surfer. He's from California. I don't know.
All right.
Here's my take, okay, Jez? Here's my take. I believe it's exclusive. Do I have any information that, says it is. Not really. I've heard some things, but like, whatever, rumors, whatever. I think it's exclusive. I think people are reading a lot into this. I think you can come up with all these different scenarios like your article did. Maybe they don't know the platforms because it's a next-gen game, so why post them? Maybe they know that by saying it's an Xbox game, it won't get the coverage and, that an interest that it should, because PlayStation fans would immediately dismiss it because it's an Xbox game, right? Then there's also, which I think is a more realistic approach. Oh, there's actually like two. I think, look, Xbox just went through a really, really, really long and tough regulatory process where their decisions regarding Bethesda exclusivity was under a microscope by all the regulators, by the CMA, by the FTC, about what they were doing with these games and how they were withholding them, right? And there's still the FTC stuff. Like there's like that sort of trial that's going on that happened yesterday. There's trying to seek like an injunction for Xbox or to have Microsoft like hold Activision Blizzard separate, and then have like something else. But I'm sure Microsoft will take it to the Supreme Court. But one of the things that they're saying in this thing is they don't have to prove that it's anti-competitive. They just have to prove that that Microsoft will withhold games, right? And Blade's a big one. It's a Marvel game. A lot of people are going to want this. Does Microsoft want to look like a bad guy and being like, well, this is another game we're essentially not giving to PlayStation fans? Maybe they're just playing it really close to the vest. They've said repeatedly in, the FTC stuff that their Bethesda decisions are all case-by-case basis, right? Some games will be exclusive. Some games won't. We've seen the Quake games come out on every platform. And, like Elder Scrolls, as Phil said, was a game that's so far away they haven't made a decision yet. Even though I think they have, because in those same emails, Tim Stewart was shocked when he said Phil made the decision to make all the Bethesda games exclusive. And what is Blade? It's a Bethesda game, right? They went and they turned Indiana Jones from a multiplat into an exclusive. And when they announced Indiana Jones, it didn't have any platforms either. Didn't have an Xbox logo. It was just an announcement on Twitter. And people were still wondering about that until the FTC trial, right? So I think there's that aspect of it that I don't think could be overlooked about like their decisions and what they do with Bethesda. It's all under a microscope. But then I think people don't really talk about this angle. And that's just like, Bethesda wants to be Bethesda, bro. They want to imprint their own stuff in their own games, and Bethesda's a brand, and the Bethesda brand is on the trailer, not the Xbox one. It could be as simple as that. I don't know. What do you think?
One thing I think the Xbox community needs to get into their head is that Bethesda is independent. They're a subsidiary of Microsoft, and there will be situations where Phil's just like, yeah, this is going to be this way because I'm the boss, right? But a lot of the marketing decisions, the messaging, the PR is 100% Bethesda. If you send a message to Xbox PR and say, can I have a statement on this Bethesda-related thing, they will tell you to go and message Bethesda PR. Bethesda is operated separately. It's a completely separate entity. Not completely, but it is a separate entity, and they have their own way of doing things. And they aren't building hardware. They are building video games. They're building software. So for them, they're not really thinking about right now is how does this reflect on the Xbox brand? I believe that's really what the case is here. Now you can debate the merits of that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Should Microsoft, come down on them a little bit more heavily? But the truth is, like, this is the deal that they did for this acquisition, and we're seeing like sort of the fallout play out right now between Bungie and PlayStation about how that acquisition is potentially impacting morale there, because there's a worry at Bungie that they could lose editorial independence.
Yeah, they could lose power. Sony could dissolve the board if they don't meet their revenue goals.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is I'm not saying that Xbox is all sunshine and lollipops, and there probably is most definitely there is most definitely a situation where Microsoft would be like, you guys aren't doing things properly, we're going to have to step in. But we're a long way away from that. And at the end of the day, it is Xbox as an Xbox organization, it is their responsibility to make the Xbox platform attractive. It's not necessarily Bethesda, the subsidiaries' concern to make that happen for Microsoft right now, So after speaking to a few people, I believe that's essentially what it is here. It's just sort of like a different philosophical point of view about what a Bethesda game is versus what the core Xbox community, the core Xbox fan base wants Bethesda to be. And also keeping the acquired team feeling like they still have their own identity as a publishing arm, subsidiary of Microsoft. This is the sort of the growing pains that occur when you acquire a company like this. And I know, and I've talked about it before here, about when Windows Central was acquired by Future. We had lots of these same issues where we felt like we were being dictated to and we were losing our editorial independence, and there was a lot of resentment. People left the team and went to other companies, went to other blogging places and stuff. And it was a long time before we could really get our cultures aligned, between Windows Central and Future ultimately. And it happened eventually, I kind of feel like, and now like everyone's on the same page, but it did take like 2 or 3 years, 2 years, I want to say, before everything sort of started getting smooth again. And we're a team of like 20 people. Now imagine you've got like a massive company like Bethesda that has a really long legacy and some like very powerful political people like Pete Hines and stuff like that who are influential, and if they're unhappy they'll pass that down the chain. And we've already seen situations where like some of Microsoft acquired studios, they publicly express frustration sometimes when Xbox is perceived as meddling, So yeah, I personally, that's what I think it is. I think I agree with you. I think it will be exclusive. I think it will be announced as exclusive at one of the Xbox events down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Once there's more to show for
years
it.
down the line when you see it again.
Yeah,
in a couple
years
of
down the line. Yeah, sure. But I feel like when I reached out to Microsoft to ask, it was literally their comment was, ask Bethesda PR, and Bethesda PR didn't reply. So that's how Bethesda kind of announces things. That's how they announce other stuff. The platforms sort of get announced later, and I think like they only did some of this stuff for Starfield because it was such a controversial topic. But yeah, I believe it will be exclusive, and it's just take time for us to actually get that information out.
Well,
there,
I guess like the frustrating thing outside of like a unified marketing message, because now I'm sort of dreading the Activision Blizzard stuff. Like when the first non-COD game is announced from Activision Blizzard, what will be like, will the logo be on that, or will it just be the Activision branding trademark? And like, if Odyssey, like say Odyssey is revealed and it's just like, here's Odyssey, but there's no platforms or whatever, and there's no logo. And if you asked Xbox, they probably was like, well, ask Activision Blizzard. The thing here is like, it's sort of frustrating because at least for me, for you, is like, because I think you told me you had what, 80 DMs from people today? And it's like is that not your job to, parse through all that and be like, Xbox is making more work for you because they're being vague or they're letting Bethesda handle their own thing? And I got a bunch of DMs as well. And it's like, I don't know. I'm not Microsoft. I don't know what's going on there. Like, I give you my opinion on it. So I guess some, like another thing, like, yeah, unified marketing meshes, but like, is this going to be a thing for the next 3 years until they actually come out at one of the Xbox shows and say Xbox exclusive? Because to be honest, I don't want to have to deal with this every single show. I don't want to have to deal with this every single year constantly being like, is Blade an exclusive or is Blade not an exclusive? Is Xbox going third party or is Xbox not going third party? It's just like, oh, fuck, right? Like, it's just like one of these things where like, oh, well, Scalebound's mentioned every single show or something, or I'm just reminded like of like every single...
you just mentioned it that time.
We already had the Scalebound mentioned, but like this whole stuff with Bethesda... Right. Everything with Bethesda during the acquisition was, no, it'll be on PlayStation. No, it won't be on PlayStation. Will it be on PlayStation? Tim Stewart's comments about first, better, and best. See, it's all coming to PlayStation. Phil's comments about, oh, well, we did this acquisition. It's about exclusives and Game Pass. And then people were still like, well, is Phil lying? There's still that discussion. And even now, there's still like people saying Starfield's coming to PS5. And after a year or two or whatever, like that whole conversation has never really fully ended. And now it's like rearing its ugly head again because now here's Blade without a logo and Microsoft saying ask Bethesda, and Bethesda's not saying anything. So it's like, okay, now we got to go through this again, Activision Blizzard, and go through this again, right? It's just kind of annoying in that sense, but it's just kind of the way it is. Like I said, I think it's exclusive. I'm not worried about, and even if it's not, am I going to lose sleep over it? No, I'm not. I'm happy the game exists, and it seems like Blade is something that Arkane's really super pumped to develop and stuff. But if I was a betting man right now, I'd put all my chips on exclusive because that's what I think it's going to end up being. It's just that you're going to have to go through this stuff to get to that. And then you can have the people who are port begging nonstop. You can watch them do a 180 when it's revealed as exclusive and saying that it never looked good in the first place and Arkane sucks again. Right? So you make sure you can collect the receipts on all that stuff, right? So
there'll be a lot of receipts, I kind of feel like.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there will. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong, and you can have receipts on me, I suppose. But yeah, there's a lot going on, right? I wouldn't lose my mind over it, but that's what happens when you acquire a couple publishers and you want them to retain their independent spirit. And they want to do things their own way, and these are the sort of things that might happen, right?
Yep. And, Microsoft's trying to be the good guy as much as a big, gigantic corporation can. I saw they accepted unionization of some, I think it was Bethesda QA staff recently, which is flies in the face of Google and Amazon, who are, and Apple too, who are just like non-stop trying to bust unions, and Microsoft's out here like, oh yeah, sure, we'll let you unionize, which is very, very going against the trend. But yeah, I just think, I just think Bethesda and Xbox are a bit misaligned on this, personally. And I think like that's fine, if that's at the end of the day, they want them to kind of retain their independence and their independent decision making, and their decision was, we'll wait to announce platforms later for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, we even have a super chat from my Bridge 4 brother, Slow-Mo Blackslap, who was really surprised. I watched their reaction on the Damage Control podcast, or Damage Per Second podcast, Damage Control podcast. He was really surprised. He was one of the people that was like, oh, it was Deathloop. Or were you one of the people that thought it was Dishonored? I forget. But then you were like, wait a minute, that's Blade. He says, is it possible they didn't make a concrete announcement because Disney Marvel hasn't decided to allow it to be a console exclusive yet? I don't think so. I think they know. I think that stuff's all ironed out already. I know some people are pointing me to like some ex-Sony Ben developer or some shit. Folks, come on.
He doesn't know a damn thing.
He's not even an ex-Sony Ben developer. It's just that PlayStation fake insider dude constantly changing his name or whatever. It's a bunch of nothing. You know what I mean? So yeah. No, I guess but the thing is, nobody knows. So I guess it's possible. We have Andre 4983. Maybe Matt Booty Takeover can change things around. And we have Jericho, Indiana Jones, same thing, no platform on trailer, but was said to be exclusive at the ABK trial. Damage. I said it wrong, Slow-Mo. I'm sorry. Damage per second. So, yeah, enough about the Blade stuff. I mean, because I have a feeling this is going to be a constant talking point. People are going to always bring it up, and you're going to see it constantly until it's actually, said definitively. And I'm just dreading that, but dreading the how long it takes to get to that point, because I'm sure people will just be like, is it or is it not? Let's have Twitter spaces about it and Twitter posts about it and all this sort of stuff. So overall, that was the Game Awards. I thought it was a great show for video game announcements and a very poor show for for celebrating devs and awards and stuff. Just call it E3. Just call it Winter E3. Be done with it. Drop the pretense that it's the Game Awards, and I think people will be okay with it. Just call it Winter. But of course, Jeff doesn't want to do that because the Game Awards gives it prestige. But let's call it what it is, right? It's a marketing event. Call it Winter Game Fest. Call it Winter Game Fest featuring the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think the industry just appreciates as well. We do bitch about the awards and stuff, and them not handing out more time for devs to speak up on that. But I think devs also appreciate the fact that there is an event where they can all come together, meet friends from all over the world, and it's different when you're there in person, right? So even though it might seem to us watching it oh, they didn't get much time, whatever. It's not like it isn't still a really great event for them, I think. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should get a dev on XB2+1 and talk about it sometime.
Yeah, and the other big thing from this week was Grand Theft Auto 6. Everybody was waiting for Tuesday. Someone leaked the trailer on Monday, though.
Yeah.
How'd they leak that? How'd they get that trailer? It had to be somebody from YouTube, right?
Yeah, I really do think that YouTube, if you upload a trailer to YouTube, even if it's private, employee or someone working there will just be able to see it. Because that just seems increasingly how these things leak. But, oh well.
Yeah. That came out. Did you watch the trailer?
I did watch the trailer, and I was kind of I was mind blown at the delivery, the style, and the sort of, even though you could still tell it was a video game, there was something about the camera movements and the delivery of it that made it just seem so weirdly real. I can't really explain what I'm trying to get at, even though it's still, you can still tell it's a video game. It still has a sort of video game stylization or whatever, but it just looked this is Rockstar. Only Rockstar makes games like this, and you just know it's going to be almost as big as World of Warcraft in 2025.
I watched the trailer. So I did watch the leak trailer because I was like, whatever. And then they dropped the trailer 15 minutes later. I think I've watched that trailer 10 times now. I love the song choice with Tom Petty. I did see the thing where the streaming of that song is increased 8,000% or whatever. And then the trailer itself broke all sort of YouTube views. I think
Most watched trailer of all time in 24 hours,
well,
including movies.
excluding like music, I think BTS holds the record, but it beat Mr. Beast. I think it did 90 million in 24 hours, and it was funny because I saw like the CEO of Twitter begging for the trailer on X. Like, come on, put it on X.
Oh, that was so cringe. Like, you see what they did?
Mm-hmm.
They X like blocked the tweet for a few hours. Like this like sort of super petty childish behavior. And it's like, hang on a sec, you're trying to like convince advertisers to work with you guys. And this is how you behave? It's like, what? But yeah, I kind of not surprised really with the way Twitter's going downhill recently. But anyway, yeah, I thought the trial looked fantastic. I mean, I expected nothing less from Rockstar. You know, Rockstar doing Rockstar things as usual.
Yeah, exactly. Rockstar doing the only dev that can like put all the like the density, and of course,
the density is a good word.
Dude, like seeing like Miami, Vice City, first female protagonist, and like all the booty and the boobs, all the crazy shit that goes down in Florida, and then like okay.
See, this was another like. I mean, I've heard some of the memes about Florida, right? But I was kind of like, I was kind of like, I thought it was so fun when I think it was IGN who put together an article about this, and they were like, yeah, so half the events in the trailer are based on real news reports and real news footage and all that kind of stuff, and it's just kind of like, are you serious? And then you watch all this stuff, and it's like, oh my god, they are not, they're telling the truth. They are telling the truth. So that was quite cool to see.
Very, very cool. Like, I like the Bonnie and Clyde aspect. I know there's like a whole bunch of rumors about like the male protagonist being voiced by Troy Baker, even though he only says one line. Even the fact that he might be an undercover cop or something. Like, people are going in trying to find out the secrets of this trailer. And but then I think maybe the downer for most people is it said 2025. So it's one of those things where it literally could be 2 years away. You know, I know there's
at least
talk that it might be early 2025, but you know, most likely late 2025. But you already know, biggest game of the year, clearly. It's going to be game of the year. You already know 2025. So if you want to win game of the year, make sure you put your game out in 2024. If you want to have a chance, because that, I would imagine GTA 6 got that wrapped up. It'll be 12 years by the time it comes out since the last one. And nobody, like, no dev can do what Rockstar does. Because no dev has the budget, right? No dev has the budget because no dev is going to be so secure knowing that their game's going to sell, I don't know, 40 million copies in a month and make billions of dollars in Grand Theft Auto Online revenue, right? Chart cards and stuff. Like, they're like the only dev that can do that sort of stuff. And we probably won't see another trailer for them for maybe like another year. But yeah, that trailer got me really, really excited. I mean, it looked like Red Dead 2 level, like, visual fidelity. And then, of course, then the conversation.
It's the density for me, man. Like the density of the simulation. It's density of the simulation, like a beach that feels like a real beach, and it's not just like copy and pasted NPCs. It's like every NPC has like a unique shape and style, like real human beings. You know, if you go to a real beach, and it's all different shapes and sizes and all this kind of stuff. And Cyberpunk kind of did that really well as well, but this feels like it's taking it to the next level, like different clothing, different everything, you know. So yeah, it's just Rockstar. They're pushing boundaries, and it's setting standards for that the industry will be chasing for the next 15,000
and they're the
years.
only ones who can really get the counter movement going, where it's like ban GTA, Right? I'm sure you've
Bungie,
seen.
yeah,
I'm sure you've seen
yeah.
all this stuff where people are like,
Oh,
"Oh, kids play
sensitive
this
little
stuff."
bitches, man.
Like, oh my god,
Oh
ban
man.
this! Like using like the twerking stuff, and it's like kids shouldn't play this. Like people
Yeah,
have
no
been
shit,
trying to
kids shouldn't
ban
play this.
GTA for years at this point, but then
Boomers, man.
a talk was about like frame rate. We're gonna be 30 frames on console. You know, like will it have a performance mode? Is it beneficial that PS5 Pro's gonna be launching after it or around it or whatever, and that might have a exclusive 60 FPS mode? All that sort of talk. Will it come to the Nintendo Switch 2 whenever the Nintendo Switch 2 is announced? Because it was only announced for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Not even announced for PC. Not even announced for PC because they're just like, hey, PC dudes, you're double dipping on this. We know you're going to buy this stuff on console and you're going to play it at whatever frame rate we give this game. And then we know a year later you're going to just buy it all again so you can play it on your rigs. So you're double dipping. Like most developers need to put their games simultaneously on PC. Not Grand Theft Auto, not Rockstar, because they're Rockstars.
No. And it also like it's a good opportunity for Xbox, you know. And I wrote an article
you made
about
that
it.
article, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote an article.
Explain that for the people who didn't read it.
Well, one of the things about the Xbox platform that a lot of people kind of overlook is that there's no such thing as next gen for Xbox. The Xbox One is still part of this gen, you know. And from what I hear, there's like still a huge portion of the player base is on Xbox One because Fortnite, Minecraft, Call of Duty still launches on the last gen, and all these games still launch on last gen, and a lot of like casual players, they're just like, well, I buy FIFA, I buy Call of Duty every year. Why upgrade? This is the reason to upgrade. It's like one of the first major compelling reasons to upgrade, where there's like no other option but to get a next gen console to play this game. You know, Sony has the same issue, you know. But I would argue that Sony's probably done a better job of moving its player base from last gen to next gen. But if you're Microsoft and it's kind of like, well, that these people are only going to play one game anyway, we're not desperate for them to upgrade when, you know, this console could go to an enthusiast who might buy more games than this, you know. But anyway, it's sort of like if Microsoft can sort of make sure that the game performs well on Series S and maybe even land a co-marketing deal in some way, shape, or form, they could like get a new generation of gamers into the Xbox ecosystem, lock them in digitally, and they've got a huge opportunity to do that here. And an opportunity that isn't going to come around again this entire generation. This is the only opportunity they've got to do this, unless like, you know, they cut off Xbox One and PS4 from Call of Duty, you know. But I kind of feel like they're not going to do that. But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. You could be right. I mean, nobody has claimed co-marketing rights for this, right?
Nope.
So maybe, I mean, if I had to put money on it, it'd be PlayStation. But you never know. You know, maybe Xbox. It's funny because I have seen some industry commentators being like, "Is this game even gonna come out for the Series S?" Like legit, like they're actually saying, "How could it possibly come out for the Series S?" Right? But I mean, that's the whole thing. When you have people in the mainstream media trying to talk about Xbox in any meaningful capacity, they just don't know. And you know what? They don't have to know. But a lot of it, when I listen to like people that I've looked up to, you know, different mainstream podcasts, different mainstream outlets, when they talk about Xbox, it's at a very cursory level without any really in-depth knowledge about the platform or what's actually going on, and it's just very apparent that they don't care. And that's perfectly fine. You know, we all have our preferences. You want to be really involved in the PlayStation ecosystem or Nintendo and going on what's there, but it's just weird listening to some people talk about Xbox and just kind of go ahead.
this is why I don't try and front the pretense that I want to be a multi-platform game journalist, because I don't care about Nintendo. I don't care about these other platforms. It's like, for me, what I find compelling is the synergy between my Windows device, my Xbox device, and the ecosystem that Xbox is building. So I don't want to have to lie and be like, yeah, I'm a multi-platform game journalist or whatever. I care about all these platforms equally. I just don't, and I just can't, And then you get other people who just try to pretend that they do, when it's just they don't, And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the pretense that's irritating. But at the same time, I'm not completely against it, because then people will come to us for information, which is just good. It's good for my bottom line, Good
That's
for my
true.
targets, and I got some targets for next year. A bit spooky, but
A bit okay.
but we'll always, hopefully there'll always be enough Xbox fans that I can just cover the one.
I don't know.
platform.
All the Xbox fans are going to be gone after 2027 because Xbox will be gone, right? That's why they didn't announce any platforms for Blade, because Xbox will be out of here.
No,
they'll be gone. Yeah. So Grand Theft Auto breaking the internet. Not surprised. Going to be the biggest game of the gen. Can't wait. Oh, dude, please. What I mean, like sales wise, like you could probably say Fortnite will be the biggest, like revenue wise. Okay, well,
I don't know, bro.
Tell me what you think will be bigger than GTA 6.
Maybe the next WoW expansion is the one that brings it back to 20 million players, bro.
No, I don't doubt it, bro.
Why not?
The next WoW expansion will drop at the 5 million.
What?
Yeah, I mean the only way WoW grows is if they actually bring it to console and move it off PC.
I don't think that makes WoW grow, man. What they need to do to make WoW grow is to make a new one. It's looking a bit old.
Looking a bit old. But yeah. So, I mean, if you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let us move over to some Patreon questions, shall we, Jez?
Yes, Patreon questions. Patreon.
I wonder, because you put this up late because we wanted to wait after the Game Awards. I'm sure people would have questions about it, and I wonder how many of these questions will be about Blade.
Well, I did say, Fred, please don't ask about Blade, because that's going to be a topic.
Yes.
So let's see if people came up with some different takes, or maybe there's. Yeah, we'll see.
We have Monkey versus Tramps, who I believe is a new Patreon member. Thank you for supporting us, because I think he messaged me on Patreon in the Discord, Xbox 2 Discord. He goes, "Hey guys, I was pretty happy with their overall show. It was nice to see some in-game combat for Hellblade. I'm thinking either we will get a shadow drop of Hellblade 2 at the showcase in June or July, or it'll be an autumn-fall release. I mean, hey, your guess is as good as mine, because all Xbox has given us is 2024. I do think Avowed, if it makes 2024, is going to be end of the year, and we know there's a Call of Duty next year, so I feel like that window is getting a bit crowded, like Avowed and Call of Duty and Hellblade. So I still feel, and like Matt Booty said, hey, they're on track for a big game a quarter. We don't know what's coming first half of the year. So I think it's coming first quarter. I think it's coming first half of the year. And I'm hoping for like March, May, right? I'm thinking we get a developer direct sometime in January. That'll give us a look at Towerborn, give us more of a look at Hellblade 2, give us a look at Avowed, give us a look at Microsoft Flight Sim, maybe even announce like a new game that's coming out that year, because they did say they had more unannounced games. And then like we get the drop for Hellblade that it's coming like, March or April. I that's my hope, at least, right?
Yeah, I think they got a strong roadmap for next year. And probably a lot of stuff we don't even know about. Yeah,
that is true. We have PB Broking. Jez, is there new info about your tech podcast video speaking with developers?
That's an interesting question. Like we talked about a while ago, that one of the ideas we had is to do like a shorter podcast where I just speak to a dev like about their career and stuff like that, just to add some value to the podcast and the Patreon and stuff. I just honestly, like, I'm not sure I can fit it in right now, but I will say that one of the things that my company, Windows Central, and Future are looking to do is let me dedicate more of my time to video. So it might be that I do something like that, but it might end up being on Windows Central's YouTube channel instead, which is kind of cool because it'll let more people access it and stuff like that. So I suppose watch this space. We'll see what happens. We'll find out if my role changes in January, because we're having a bit of a reorg at the moment.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
We got a super chat here from Honcho, who says the Kojima game I feel is going to be like a mixture of Black Mirror, Bandersnatch from Netflix, and the Telltale games. In the cloud, and AI will collect data from players for different outcomes. I don't know. That could be. That's a good guess.
That's interesting.
That's
Did you do Bandersnatch?
I didn't watch Bandersnatch. I've seen the other Black Mirror stuff, but I didn't check out Bandersnatch. I heard it wasn't very good. So a lot of my buddies didn't think it was good.
That's the choose your own adventure.
Yes, choose your own adventure.
I thought it was quite good, actually. But I thought it was like, I mean, it was quite good for a first try kind of experiment. I just kind of thought, well, this has real potential, but I suppose there's more they can do when it's a video game, because like it's more interactive.
It's more interactive.
You're basically just clicking through different videos there, but we'll see.
Oh, we have Nintendo down the Otaku saying Mario Kart 10 in 2025 will body GTA. No, it won't. It absolutely will not. Jax82, what if both Blade and Wolverine come out in 2025? Don't think so. I don't think Blade is coming out in 2 years. I think if it was closer, they wouldn't have said it was early. So I think maybe Blade's been in development for a year. Who knows if it's even in full production. Blade, I'm thinking more is right now, I'm thinking is a 2027 title. I'm thinking 4 years from now, essentially. You know, we keep on hearing about AAA development getting longer and longer. And we talked about a couple episodes ago about Xbox and AI and using AI to maybe help with that and bring down the cost and maybe shorten the timetables for this sort of stuff. But, you know, games take a while to make these days. And so I don't think it's coming out in 2025. And I understand. I guess maybe there is a segment of people, Jez, that, you know, Xbox this gen has been very much like announcing stuff way in advance, right? From Hellblade, from Everwild in 2019, where couldn't tell you what Everwild is and have no idea when it's coming. State of Decay 3, remember like the elusive 5? Like, where's State of Decay 3? You know, when's Perfect Dark coming? We're finally getting Hellblade and like Hellblade this year and Avowed, and Fable doesn't have a year, but it's probably 2025. South of Midnight. Like, we're finally getting some stuff about those games, but they were revealed a long time ago, right? Beginning of the generation. And it's like kind of like, okay, should Xbox be revealing a game like this so far in advance? Because it does seem like it's early. I mean, they said it themselves. It's early. But is this maybe more of a Marvel announcement? Like, Marvel said they want to announce it in conjunction with the 50th anniversary of Blade. I mean, that only happens once.
50?
Yeah, they made sure to say, like, they wanted to announce the game because it's the 50th anniversary of Blade.
Dude, that movie came out when I was like...
Not the movie, fool, the comic.
There's a comic?
Yeah, the Blade comic. 1973. Blade's first appearance. So I'm just saying, like, maybe it's more of a Marvel announcement, because Marvel also let EA announce the Iron Man game in just a tweet, and the Black Panther game in just a tweet. We didn't even see trailers for those. Those were just announcements of those games. We did get a sort of kind of short trailer for the Black Panther Captain America game, but maybe this is more like Marvel's timeline of announcing stuff, right? And that was like, okay, normally maybe we wouldn't announce this stuff early, but we do have a partner we're working with, and the partner wants to announce it because of this milestone. And yeah, it's further out. Because I do feel it's like, hey, Xbox, you have all these other games, and it's like, when are those even coming? And now you're announcing stuff that's even further out. So
I do think it's funny, right? You talked about like Iron Man and
Black Panther,
these other games and Black Panther, and it's like no one's really questioning anything about those games because they're not tied to a platform.
It's true.
You know, whereas like Xbox fans are like freaking out about what does this mean? What does that mean? Oh god, does this mean Xbox is doomed? Does this mean Xbox is going third party? Like, and yeah, EA doesn't have that kind of stuff attached to it, that kind of baggage. But it's just funny, like how when you're a platform, especially when you're Xbox, people can't just enjoy the game announcement. It's kind of like, where's the caveat? Where's the gotcha moment? Where's the like, we announced something, but there's a caveat. Something is wrong here. You know, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It's kind of sad. Dreams of Witch and Dying are the best I've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Back to the Patreon questions. We have Sick and Tired, who says, why won't Sony allow Game Pass on PS5? If Game Pass was on PlayStation, there would be no reason to buy an Xbox, as you would get all of Sony and Microsoft exclusive on PlayStation, but not Xbox. If this happened, it would be the end of Xbox. So why wouldn't Sony want that, and why would Microsoft want that? That is a common argument I do see. Like, why wouldn't Sony want Game Pass on PS5 if you could then be like, well, we have all the Microsoft games and all of our own PlayStation games? It would essentially, at least, you know, in the argument here, it would kill the Xbox console, and everybody would.
Yeah, the reason is more obvious than you think. The reason is that the business isn't selling consoles. The business is selling software. And if you're putting Game Pass on PlayStation, you're not selling the software anymore. In fact, you know, you're not selling it at all. Microsoft's selling it, and you're getting a little cut. Why bother doing that? You make more money if you just sell Call of Duty outright than put it on Game Pass. And I don't think Game Pass is as compelling as Microsoft thinks it is, especially not for making people switch platform. If I'm locked into PlayStation, there's like nothing that you can do to get me to switch. Like just because Call of Duty is now like in Game Pass, I'm gonna like ditch all my digital library and change my primary platform. I don't think so, bro. The only thing that really matters, honestly, is exclusives, and I don't think Microsoft fully appreciates that yet, but I think they're starting to learn.
I think they know. I mean, how many times did I argue here on the show that Xbox should probably get their own Star Wars exclusive or Marvel exclusive, because that would generate excitement and that would really put eyes on Game Pass. Like Blade is a game. Blade is a character, a Marvel character that is like whenever it does come out, and assuming it's in Game Pass, which I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be, you're talking about one of the biggest releases for the platform in that sense, because it's going to be mainstream. It's going to be everywhere. There's a Blade game. How do I play this Blade game? Oh, it's exclusive to Xbox in this Game Pass thing, and I don't have to play it? Like, that's sort of like Call of Duty, where like Call of Duty is like so casual and mainstream. That's what Game Pass needs. It's like needs these bigger IPs. Like, yeah, sure, putting out Pentiment is great. Having Ground is great. Having all these, games like Halo Infinite do really well, and the live service stuff. But also at the same time, you need to satisfy people who are fans of single player and fans of like, hey, Marvel. Like, look at Spider-Man 2. Sure, Spider-Man 2 maybe is not played a lot right now, but I bet you it brought a lot of casual gamers and hardcore gamers to the PlayStation platform and increased the mindshare of that system as the destination to play that sort of game. But now you got your own Blade. I think it raises the prestige of Game Pass. Like, this is stuff we talked about, and it's like, I think Xbox realizes that, because they went back and made Indiana Jones an exclusive, because they know they needed something like that. and it's like, here's Blade, so boom, right? I don't know, but you're 100% right about like allowing Game Pass, like as why Sony wouldn't want to. Luke Spook says, hello, gents. Time for some horse trading. Choose 5 games from Nintendo and 5 from PlayStation to fill out the gaps on Xbox is offering. Likewise, what is being offered back to fill out Nintendo and PlayStation's catalog? Okay. Well,
5 games?
Five
I don't know
games.
if I could name
That's
5
10.
games.
We don't want any from Nintendo. We're not giving anything to Nintendo. Well, jokingly, what would I take from Nintendo? I'd take Mario
Metroid,
Kart.
baby.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about personal preferences or like the business, right? Like you'd probably
Smash
take
Bros.
you probably would take Animal Crossing. You would take Mario Kart. You would take Zelda. You would take Mario and Pokemon, right? You probably take those 5.
Yeah, Pokemon.
You take
But,
those
like,
5.
You gotta remember, Nintendo doesn't fully own.
Sure,
Pokemon.
sure. But I mean, if in this mythical scenario, let's just say you could trade them, and for PlayStation, I mean, you take Spider-Man. You would take God of War.
Ghost of Tsushima.
I mean, you essentially would just take their biggest games, and Xbox, you just offer their smallest games. Here, you can have Grounded. You can have Pentiment. You know what I mean? Like,
no. You can have Loco Cycle.
you can have Loco Cycle.
You can have Crackdown. Oh man.
But I mean, I guess there's different, ways to look at it depending on if you're doing it from personal or from business. So
yeah.
I mean, if it was personal, I wouldn't want anything from Nintendo. But business-wise, they got big games, dude. They got games that people buy the platform strictly for.
Yeah.
So you can't deny that. Like, and with PlayStation, same thing, but on a lesser degree. Like, it's funny because to me, it's like PlayStation's first-party games. How do I say this? How do I say this correctly?
How do I say this without getting trolled?
No, I mean, how do I say this correctly? It's
without triggering
Nintendo. The Nintendo first party is what PlayStation aspires to be, but will probably never get there. Like the fact that Animal Crossing sold like 50 million and Mario Kart's at like 40 million and those prices never drop. That's what PlayStation wants to be. And that's kind of what PlayStation fans think PlayStation's first party is. But they never come close to those numbers. And they probably never will come close to those numbers. Because Nintendo first party is just on a completely different level than everybody else's.
Nintendo is the Disney of gaming. Their games have like appeal not just for kids, but for families, for single people, and just like Disney, it's kind of wild how they achieve that in gaming, and it's really difficult to do. To thread that needle between like all the different demographics. Nintendo does it better than anyone else. Microsoft bought into that a little bit with Minecraft, I think. But Minecraft's everywhere. Nobody's buying an Xbox for Minecraft. They're just playing it whatever device they've already got it on, right?
Yep.
It's both PlayStation and Xbox wish they were Nintendo. It's funny because like every platform has its strengths and weaknesses, and Nintendo's obviously is like powerful hardware that precludes them from the high-end games that a lot of devs just want to make. Like a lot of devs just like, we don't want to make cartoony games. We want to make cutting-edge photorealistic games. I don't know, like you could talk to CD Projekt Red and be like, I don't think they'd be excited about the prospect about making like a smaller, cartoony game built in Unity, which is a lot of Nintendo's most popular games tend to be. So Nintendo's kind of precluded from that market because of their hardware chops or lack thereof. But then you got like Xbox's strengths being platform services, service games, and you got Nintendo's PlayStation strengths being like core exclusives that people our age kind of like really feel like they can't do without. So every platform has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's kind of interesting. Each one probably wishes they had something from the other to complement their overall strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I see you angered people with your tweet about Call of Duty joke.
Oh well.
Yeah, Jez, you're a lightning rod for controversy.
Oh well. Who's angry about it?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the replies now, and people are just angry at you. But
What,
that's
randoms
nothing.
or...
Yeah, I think so. Just randoms. I don't know these people. Just blue check marks, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, good. Let them be angry. I mean, I thought that joke was in bad taste. I mean, for people don't know, I tweeted like I thought it was shitty that Jeff Keighley allowed that joke through the teleprompter. You know, which was basically the God of War voice actor trolling the length of Modern Warfare 3's campaign, and I thought that was really in bad taste. You know, like dev to dev, and we all know how difficult the development on that was, and it was the decisions of Activision management that led to that game being shipped half finished, you know. And I think it was shitty to allow that kind of trolling and toxicity on one of the biggest audiences in gaming, kind of against the sort of what Keighley's supposedly putting out there. Let's celebrate the devs. Oh, unless
not that dev,
but not that dev. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to criticize Modern Warfare 3 from a critical perspective, but that's not the way to do it, man. And that's what the tweet's about. And if people don't like it, then cry about it, I guess. I don't know.
They are crying. We have one here.
I muted the thread.
I would too. We have another question here from Stephen Doyne, who says, "Hey guys, I couldn't stay up and watch TGAs due to the horrible time it's on for us in Europe, and I had to be up work for early the following morning. It was very noticeable when I loaded Twitter this morning, the number of people involved in the industry calling out the show for lack of time award to the winners. We've always known the TGAs have been about new announcements, and the awards have always come secondary, but that has never been more obvious than this year. Do you guys think there might come a tipping point at some stage where the certain developers or teams might boycott the TGAs in form of protest against the show? I doubt it myself, but it's just something that crossed my mind this morning when I seen so many people calling out the TGAs for the lack of time given to developers who deserve their moment in the spotlight, but instead they're being hurried off stage. What do you guys think?" No. I don't think you'll see that. Because I think the publishers are the ones being like, "Here, like, you know, we want you there, we need you there." And maybe you could see, I guess maybe where like you could see some backlash is in the San Fran Cabal, the journalist segment that's as part of the jury. But I doubt it, because they don't want to lose their jury privileges. So what you'll see is just a bunch of, people saying like, "This is really bad" on Twitter. "How do we change this? Let's make it about devs." And Jeff will go on his tour, when he's promoting it next year, about the lessons they've learned and blah, 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 blah. But it'll be the same exact show. Maybe they'll have more time devoted to the award announcers and stuff. But nobody who's part of that award jury thing is going to rock the boat to lose it.
No.
Absolutely not.
And they get flown out. They get to hang out with all the devs. The networking is crazy good for them. Like it's literally a case of it's great for them if you're on the jury. So I can't see them rocking the boat on that.
Nope.
And pissing off Jeff or criticizing or saying anything negative is a way to get blacklisted from this.
Yeah.
As sure I know. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you'll just see some sternly worded tweets, and then same thing will happen next year, and then nothing. Your boy James says, "Do you think Microsoft will do a Series S next gen? And do you want them to?" It's a good question. Do you think they will, Jez? I mean, some people want them to do a handheld instead, like do a console and then a handheld. Do they do a cheaper console next generation? Do they go with the double SKU strategy once more? I don't know. I kind of don't want them to, but I kind of don't want them to do a handheld either because, well, I'll be selfish because I don't want one. So to me, it's just like, I don't want one, so nobody else gets one. I'm kidding. But, I mean, if you just had to say, your thoughts on that quickly, what do you think? Too early to really say. I don't know. Maybe,
I
maybe
think
not.
I think Microsoft kind of wants to support OEMs building a handheld. I don't think they want to do their own. I don't know.
Well, it's not
I
even. It's
think
not even.
that's.
It's not
I
even
think.
about the handheld. He says, "Do you think they'll do a Series S for next gen?" Essentially.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the Series S would be the
Right.
handheld. I would
Okay.
have thought,
Okay.
but I really don't know. Like I can see the for and against it. Part of me's like, well, it would be. I think it would be simpler for people if they didn't. And like sometimes the benefit of the Series S is hard to quantify. Um, I think, especially when you look at PlayStation, like PlayStation isn't struggling to sell systems without having a $300 SKU. I honestly think like I don't think Xbox would struggle to sell Xbox Series X if that's the only system they had. Um, but I don't know, man. But I really don't know right now if they'll do it again. Part of me thinks like they might just do it because they won't want to admit that there's something wrong with the strategy. But
Yeah,
they've got the data. I don't.
it's true.
And
And hey, maybe your thing about Series S presents an opportunity with Grand Theft Auto 6 in 2025. Maybe that's the case.
yeah.
Maybe Microsoft is investing a lot of money in the dev tools of the Series S and Series X right now to get a lot out of it. And by Rockstar might be a developer who has the resources and the time that they could devote into making the Series S version shine, like we've seen with Alan Wake 2, right? And we even saw the Baldur's Gate 3 devs being like, "Hey, we actually deving on the Series S made all the other versions better," right? So we'll see. CJ says, once again, Rand was right with his prediction of Baldur's Gate hitting Xbox right after the TGAs. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? I said that all the way back in September. It'll probably come out like right after the TGAs when it wins Game of the Year.
No.
I didn't know, but I mean, it was.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
No, it was the obvious. It was the obvious angle.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Rand, will New Game Plus draw you back to playing Alan Wake 2 again? I know you usually move on from games once you played them, but knowing how much you adored that game, will it bring you back? Probably not. I have thought about it because they did announce like Alan Wake 2 has an update and has like a new ending and all that sort of stuff. I'll probably just watch the new ending on YouTube and the new notes and things like that. I don't know. I'll definitely play the 2 expansions for sure because I've already bought them because I bought the most expensive version. But I doubt I will play through the whole game again just to see probably a 3-minute ending that I can just watch on YouTube. Yeah. Omen says, apologies for belaboring the point twice in 2 weeks, but why is Xbox putting the Xbox logo in front of third-party, non-exclusive games like Persona 3, but won't put it in front of announcement of a Marvel, potentially Xbox exclusive like Blade? Even if Blade is multi-plat, you would think the marketing would still be the Xbox branded, just like how Diablo 4 was, right?
It is weird. And I think it is just a case of Bethesda doing its own thing. I really think that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. I mean, you probably won't know unless somebody literally from Xbox or Bethesda comes out and explains the situation. I get it. Like, hey, you have the logo all over Persona stuff. You have the logo all over Diablo stuff when it was, a marketing deal. Why don't you have a logo all over Blade? It is a first-party studio after all. Like, I get it. Well, just, we talked about that a lot. So, good old Collinwood says, hello, Rand and Jez. With the end of the year coming, how close are you finishing up your yearly backlog of games? Should Jez play a punishment game for every game on his 2023 backlog that he has not finished by New Year's Day?
Oh my god.
Jesus.
We'll be here for a long time.
I actually was pretty good this year.
Miserable, man.
I was actually pretty good this year with the games I hit. I think the only ones that are in my backlog right now from this year are Lies of P and Armored Core 6 that I didn't get to. That I wanted to. Like, I think I wanted to play those games. I didn't get to them. I do have Immortals of Abraham downloaded, and I wanted to check that game out.
Immortals is down to like $7 right now.
Well, there's like a big sale on Xbox for your Game Pass thing where you could get like Dead Space for like $7 and Immortals Vabium. I might play that early next year because I don't think 2024 is going to be as jam packed as 2023 was. I do think there's going to be more gaps in the schedules, and already even looking at early next year, it doesn't appeal to me as much as last year did. So I might have like more time. So like I'll probably come back and actually then play like Liza P and stuff. But I did pretty good this year. I believe I beat like 48 games, and if I beat Cyberpunk, that'd be like 49. So I'm pretty close to like beating 50 games this year. Which is return to form considering I didn't beat that many last year. But yeah. Achievement says, do you think Xbox not pairing Starfield with the Series X for holiday bundles is reflective with how well the game is doing in sales? Yeah, they are bundling more with Diablo, are they not? But then again, you would imagine they paid for that, right? I don't think
Paid themselves.
Well, I mean, they paid them, and then eventually the studio was acquired. But they didn't bundle Starfield with the Series X at all. They did, they did the wraps for it, but we were like, maybe there should be a Starfield system or a Starfield bundle. But maybe it doesn't make sense to bundle Starfield with the console when you can just get it on Game Pass for quote unquote free. Maybe that lowers the value of the bundle, where you would want to bundle it with a game that maybe you have to pay for, like at the time Diablo 4.
That's smart.
You know what I mean?
You're a clever boy, aren't you, Rand?
But then again, they do have a Forza Horizon 5 bundle out there. So I guess that would completely negate that argument. But then Forza Horizon 5, I think, just hit 35 million players. But maybe Forza Horizon 5 is more of a... I don't know. Maybe they do it with Starfield later on, because, I mean, they did it with Forza Horizon 5 a couple years later. Maybe they'll bundle it with Starfield like next year when everybody's played it and everybody's subscribed to Game Pass that would have wanted to it. Now it's like, oh, now you can get Starfield as part of this for the people that didn't play it at first. I'm not sure it's reflective of how it's doing in sales, because I'm pretty sure those bundles and stuff are like all done and thought about like way in advance. You know?
Yeah.
Nate Miller says, of course, the day Baldur's Gate 3 comes out on my Xbox, my brother asks if I'm getting it on PC. My question to you two lovely gents is, if you were Jeff, how would you address the concerns about the TGAs this year? Seems the two main concerns are the continued defocusing on the awards as well as not addressing all the layoffs. Yeah, but I don't... Look, I've seen people going at Jeff for not like addressing the layoffs. Did you expect them to? I didn't expect them to.
It kind of goes back to that, do you bite the hand that feeds you kind of thing? Because the publishers feed the Game Awards, and if you criticize the layoffs, you're criticizing the people who are sponsoring the show, which again is it's a big mess, It's a big mess with some of this stuff and the corporatism and the Hollywood aspects of it, and everyone thinks the Game Awards should be something different. I mean, we bitched about the Game Awards plenty on the show today about things they should do differently and do that differently, and Jeff's probably like, with respect to him, there's probably so many different people wanting something different out of that event. It's a tough thing, man, and I don't know exactly where he could land on that without sort of pissing off someone that he doesn't want to piss off,
Well, he's already addressed the one thing I knew he would address 5 hours ago. By the way, I do agree that the music was played too fast for award winners this year, and I asked our team to relax that rule as the show went on. While no one was actually cut off, it's something to address going forward. So, I mean, like, he's addressed, like, the one thing I thought he would say about, like, shooing people, because the people did really harp on that quite a bit. And it was, like, pretty apparent, like, the first award they give was for the voice actor of Baldur's Gate 3, and he was given an impassioned speech, and within, like, a minute, they were shooing him off stage with the music. I was like, oh, are we doing that already? Like, that's pretty bad, right? Yeah. Even though we made sure we had Christopher Judge, huge, long, whole speech beforehand, but we can't have the acceptance speech be that long. Got to shoot him off stage real quickly.
Yep.
Let's see what else we have. Raj saying, "What in the world is the 3-headed monster that Kojima is cooking?" No one knows, bro. Your guess is as good as ours. Seems to be a horror game. I don't know if it's PT related, but they are evoking the imagery of it at least. Maybe we'll find out in a couple years. I think Death Stranding 2 launches first, and then OD. We'll see. Silas says, "Happy Hanukkah. With 2024 approaching, it's going to be a big year for Jez. Community will have its fingers crossed, and hopefully the girlfriend will want to marry Jez so much that she will relent and have a Warcraft-themed wedding. Jez, what characters would you want your guests to be dressed up as for the major responsibilities? Who is your minister, best man, etc.? What themed food would you serve? And what character would you have Rand dressed up as?" Oh, man.
Wow, that's a really interesting question. But if we do like a Blizzard themed wedding, which I can't see my girlfriend accepting in a million years, I don't know. Rand could dress. Rand's like, I don't know if you guys realize this, but Rand's like 8 foot tall.
No, I'm 6'2". I'm 6'2".
He's like 8 foot tall, man. This guy's like giant, right? So I think Rand could do a really good cosplay of like the Butcher from Diablo. Just slap some red makeup on Rand and give him some horns, and then just have him run around doing that. And then Rand, because Rand's the Butcher, he could be the one serving the Diablo themed food, which would obviously be a load of meat, rare steak, maybe barbecue and stuff like that. And then I don't know. I can't think further than that. I think a minister. I don't know. I don't know.
You want Lilith to be the one that marries you?
Nah, man. If you're having a minister, you gotta have Sally Whitemane, bro. You gotta have Sally Whitemane from Scarlet Crusade. Google Sally Whitemane with a safe search. Make sure safe search is turned on if you Google Sally Whitemane. She's like one of the Warcraft characters from like back in the day, you know, when the before everything became politically correct, you know. So yeah, gotta have Sally Whitemane as a minister, and I don't know.
That's an interesting question. I'm dressed up as the Butcher though, serving meat. Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
What
an image.
We got Sierra 11 Kevin, who says, "I gifted the game to my brother in the last few weeks. As we browsed the list, he originally thought about Jedi Survivor. However, we thought about it coming to Game Pass in the future, so he decided on Remnant 2. Sure enough, it just came out on Game Pass, which irritated us. He didn't want to bother dealing with customer service. Does Microsoft provide any purchase protection for Game Pass releases? If not, I do hope they incorporated it, as I do find myself hesitating on purchase now if a publisher has a history of releasing games on Game Pass." They do not provide any protection for Game Pass releases. You aren't the only one to buy a game and then have the game immediately land on Game Pass. Although, if you did buy it and you really haven't loaded it up or started it, you can just kind of go to Xbox.com and like request a refund, and they'll usually give it to you right away, especially if you're someone who does buy a lot of games and doesn't request a lot of refunds. I've requested like 3 refunds, and I get them like approved instantly. It's just a matter of like how long have you played the game. Like if it's a game that you put 10 hours into and then it came to Game Pass, they'll be like, no. But if it's something you bought and then played for an hour and then it came to Game Pass, you could probably get a refund. But I mean, you're not the only person who's like, oh, do I want to buy something because it might come to Game Pass? Although I don't think people thought Remnant 2 was going to come to Game Pass that soon or at all. But then again, it was a lot of Embracer games, and I wonder if Embracer is kind of like struggling for cash at this point. So they'll just kind of like take whatever. Xbox is like, you want some money for some Game Pass stuff? And they're like, please, please, please. Because Embracer shut down another studio, the Insurgency studio, Jez. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
another studio gone.
Yeah.
We have, let's see here, lost my spot. We have Chief Gaming 685. Do you think we'll ever see a new Titanfall game? The community has been upset, to say the least, as we haven't gotten anything but small teasers with no outcome. It's especially disappointing since a new playlist was added 30 minutes before the TGA with the message, "Have the greatest day," and then have Jeff Keighley emphasize Titanfall when introducing Vince Zampella to the stage with no Titanfall news. Well, that's the curse when you have an extremely successful game like Apex Legends.
Yeah, it is painful how they're teasing the Titanfall players. You know.
You know what? I do think we'll see a Titanfall 3. I do.
Oh, come on.
I don't think. I mean, I'm not saying it's.
Come on,
dude.
Rand.
I don't think. I'm not saying it's next year or 2 years from now.
No,
I do think they will revisit Titanfall.
Yeah. You thought Baldur's Gate was going to drop at the Game Awards, and you thought Arkane Lyon was going to be at the Game Awards with an Xbox game. Is this another one of your thoughts, Rand, that the Titanfall 3 is coming?
I have no information about Titanfall 3.
None. Oh.
I'm just saying.
Say no more, Mr. Politician.
I'm just saying. I think
Randall Politician. This is the new one.
I think it makes sense.
Maybe you should become a politician.
Maybe I should. We should end the podcast, and I'll become Randall Politician, and then Jez can become a politician in the UK. You know.
Oh God.
Steer that country back on track.
Oh God. No. Oh man, maybe I could get in some of that sweet insider trading they all do.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
And then what I'll do is I'll become a politician, do a bit of insider trading, and get like $1 billion, and then I'll go to Microsoft and be like, Microsoft, I'll give you $1 billion if you revive Windows Phone. It'd be great. And also, because I'm a politician, I'll say you have to revive Windows Phone, or I will have you all arrested. That'd be great.
It would be, wouldn't it?
I'd be the greatest politician. President Jez.
We have James Wiseau, who says, so much to say after the event. Echoing everyone else about how badly Jeff handled the devs aside, honestly, so disappointing. A wonderful showing from Xbox can't be denied. I agree. Also, hopefully this finally puts to bed the Xbox tax nonsense, because console wars suck. Hellblade looks absolutely stunning, and the combat looks fluid and gritty, and I love it. However, no release date is making me think it's going to be late 2024. What could Xbox's first quarter game be for 2024? I thought it was going to be one big game a quarter from now on. I stapled Avowed for quarter 2, so really not sure about quarter 1. Also, Blade, let's effing go. Avowed will probably be quarter 3, if not quarter 4, if it comes out next year. So, I mean, you're probably looking at a Microsoft Flight Sim, or like in a probably quarter 2, I would imagine, like April, May, June. I think Towerborn is probably somewhere in there as well. And I'm still hanging on Hellblade coming in that time frame, like March, April. I want to believe, but I do think Avowed is end of the year, and then we know the Call of Duty game is there, so they're gonna try to be like, we don't want to release stuff around it. Our History Untold will be. What do you think, Jez? Our History Untold, is that a fall game, or is that a summer game, or just whenever it's finished kind of thing?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I get the impression it's probably a bit further out, maybe.
I mean, because remember, that game was supposed to be out by June of this year. And then, well...
And I played it.
You played it
at Gamescom. I played it.
I think our answers will...
It just needs a lot of work, I think.
I think we get our answers next month if they do a... Ooh, what was that? If they do a developer direct. So...
Sorry, that was an ad loading.
We got Lee Sanders saying, evening, Rand and Hedgehog. Thanks for the heads up to avoid online due to potential spoilers for game reveals. Unsure if what you said did come true, but I appreciate it. Gotta say that Sega trailer was one of the highlights. Amazing to see them step into their catalog and bring back some gems. Going back to the biggest leak of the year, on that we had Dishonored 3 down, so many assumed that's what Arkane was up to next. Now we have an answer with them working on Blade. How do you both feel about that leak list? Is it just a fairy tale list? Or has the game changed so much in those few years that anything on the list is in the back burner now? I mean, we kind of mentioned a little bit of it. I think me and Jez have heard that there are some games on that list that did not start development and will not start development, that they went on to do other projects. It is a list from 2020. So, yeah. I mean, what else more can we say? It's just, does Dishonored 3 one of them? Potentially. Did we get a Blade game instead of Dishonored 3? Maybe. Or is Dishonored 3 being made by Arkane Austin? I don't know. Are we actually going to get a Ghostwire Tokyo from Tango, or are we going to get a Hi-Fi Rush 2 instead? You know, like is it actually working on Doom? Is there actually a Fallout and Oblivion remake? I mean, I think some of those won't happen.
Yeah.
And Jez agrees.
I just can't help but think that id's now working on Hexen. Instead.
Maybe they are. I mean, Special Nick still says Quake.
Yeah. So, what does Nick know?
What does he know indeed?
Just guesses things, man.
Moronic Donkey 99 says, are Blade and OD going to be Xbox exclusive, or is Xbox going third party? Well, we talked a lot about that at length.
Yeah, they're going to be exclusive.
They're going to be exclusive. Is Xbox going third party? I mean, who can predict the future 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now? I don't think they're going third party in the meantime, like between now and a couple years from now or whatever, but 2033, who knows? But I expect Blade and OD are going to be exclusive. Like, even the OD trailer on the Xbox thing actually does have the Xbox logo right at the beginning, and it's on Xbox's YouTube channel, and it's from Xbox Game Studios. So, like, yes, it's going to be. I just think people are, like, grouping them together for whatever reason. Battered Haddock says, why does it really matter if Xbox Game Studios games such as Blade are on other platforms? If Game Pass and Play Anywhere isn't enough, then let them pay $70 for a walled garden. Meanwhile, we get the best value, best portable options, and if the desired high-end experience way beyond any pro console. Thoughts?
I mean, I agree. Like, for myself, like, I don't care if it's on PlayStation or not. But I do think, like, for the health of the Xbox platform and the ecosystem, they do need exclusives, like full-blown, fully-fledged exclusives that I can point to. And someone says to me, why should I buy an Xbox? And I can be like, well, there's this game and that game and that game. I don't think Xbox Game Pass by itself is a compelling argument for this. Especially if, like, you've already owned a PlayStation or you're already invested in that ecosystem, or perhaps more importantly, you've got nostalgia for that ecosystem and the franchises that are exclusive. As long as PlayStation has exclusives, then Xbox needs exclusives. And that's my perspective on it. Personally, honestly, for myself, I don't care. And, like, I think in a perfect world, it'd be great if everyone could just play wherever they wanted, but any game wherever they wanted. But I also think it's really important that Sony has actual serious competition in the space. And as someone who does invest in the Xbox ecosystem, I don't want to see the platform get undermined or eventually go away. And I think that's why there's some sensitivity out there after Tim Stewart's comments, because people have invested a lot of money in this platform. It's not just about being a fanboy. It's like, oh my God, I've invested a lot of money in this platform. And I am digitally locked in, on the promise and the faith that this platform was going to be a long-term thing, And you got Tim Stewart out here saying things that, only make sense in a world where Xbox is getting out of hardware. So yeah, I think the pushback's important, If Xbox, like, gets upset about it or thinks it's unjustified, I kind of feel like sometimes, but I think sometimes they take for granted how much money people have invested in their stuff. And also they take for granted how inconsistent they've been over the years with platforms that people have invested in. Like, people invested in Windows Phone, and Microsoft killed Windows Phone with a tweet, because it was not important to them. Like, and even though it was like a multi-billion-dollar, there was multiple billions of dollars in the Windows Phone platform, and Microsoft killed it with a tweet, and that's because Microsoft's such a big company that cutting entire divisions for them is nothing. They don't really care, And the investors sure as hell don't care. We always talk on the show about the investors, how they just don't care what Xbox does. It's all about Azure this, Azure that,
AI too.
Yeah, AI as well. So I think the pushback is important to keep Xbox on its toes, to give us a better deal as consumers.
Yeah. I mean, people forget that Satya was under oath when he talked about exclusives, right? And said if it was up to him in a perfect world that there would be no exclusives. He doesn't like exclusives. Obviously, he wants his stuff everywhere. But he said in this market, the market leader has a thing where exclusives are significant. So Xbox needs them. And Blade would be a significant exclusive that would draw eyeballs to the platform and eyeballs to Game Pass in ways that you would want. So, would I be upset if Blade was on PlayStation? No. I wouldn't. I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. But that's also a game that could potentially bring new people to the platform, have them turn into Xbox fans, right? Make some of those people invest more and more into the platform, discover other games that were exclusive, cause more investment and, more first-party games because of it. There's all that sort of stuff. And, I mean, you can even talk about, all right, well, if Blade is multi-platform, is it really optimized for any singular platform? One of the arguments has always been why exclusivity is important was because you can focus on one hardware set and you can really push it to its limit, right? If you're multi-platform, maybe you can't do that. But if you're, Blade and you're just an Xbox console game, you can do things. It's easier for the devs because it's just one platform, and those things,
Yeah.
All right, we have one more. We have Sonic SVT Focus. Greetings, gents. I'm sure at this point it's already been discussed, but to me it felt like the Xbox name wasn't broadcast in the trailers as much as I thought it would. Microsoft not being at the TGAs last year, I was hoping to see more logos and maybe hear voiceovers at the end of trailers saying coming to Xbox and Game Pass to drive the point home. Even with BG3 Game of the Year and the commercial came on shortly after, I had to scan to see Xbox game case on screen. It wasn't positive was out now until I turned on my Series X. Why didn't the commercial say available now on Xbox? Did Microsoft miss an opportunity by not making their name more prominent? Well, I would imagine Baldur's Larian made that commercial. Microsoft certainly didn't. And they were supposed to announce it during the speech that it was available on Xbox. So I don't think Xbox had anything to do with it. So I'm not I'm not sure. It's should Xbox have paid for Larian to put it in the trailer? Maybe. I don't know. As far as saying having people say coming to Xbox and Game Pass in trailers, maybe that's not something Jeff wants. I mean, he said that a couple times, hey, this is sponsored by Xbox and Game Pass, and there was a lot of logos, and Game Pass had a bunch of ads, so I'm not sure that's a big a deal, but yeah, let me refresh this to make sure we don't have any more questions. Let me see. Did we get any more, or have we answered them all, Jez? What do you think?
I don't know.
We got one more.
In a weird order.
No, I go straight down the list. We do have one more.
You answer you. Go on then.
We have Don Itaku. He says, create the perfect quadruple A studio led by 5 directors of your choice with 1,000 devs at their disposal. If you don't know specific names, you can just say the director of X game. The studio had the gameplay director, the narrative director, the art graphical director, and the composer. Which one of you will create the best possible studio? I mean, this is a tough one. I'll go first. Composer, I want the composer of Ori, Gareth Coker. Gareth Coker. Give him to me. Narrative director, I want Sam Lake. No, actually, yeah. Narrative director, I want Sam Lake. Art graphical director, I don't know. I mean, who's got some really good art?
The Diablo guy.
Okay, yeah.
Can't remember his name.
The Diablo, whoever's head of art at Diablo, gameplay director. I guess it depends on the type of game you're building, right? If you're building a first-person shooter, if you're building a third-person game, if you're building a fighting game, I guess it depends on the type of game you would build. But give me, I don't know, who would you go with here, Jez? I know you probably sick Blizzard for like gameplay director.
A gameplay director.
I would go with let's just go with Todd Howard. Right? So we got Todd Howard, gameplay director, Sam Link, narrative director, the art director from Diablo, and the composer Gareth Coker, and the studio head is let's see. Studio head is Vince Zampella. His games always are great, I guess, you know? Boom. Okay. What are we building, bro? What type That's epic game we're building right there.
Oh man. Well, if Todd Howard's involved, it's
or maybe we could have
really
we could have
NPC.
Maybe the gameplay director would be Vince Zampella and the studio head would be Todd Howard. What type of game we building?
I don't know. It's probably some kind of maybe RPG shooter.
Gameplay director, you could pick like Miyamoto or somebody, or maybe like the Zelda guy.
Well, mine's a bit different to yours.
Okay.
Like for composer, I'd have Mick Gordon.
Okay, yeah. I like that.
Art and graphical director. Again, the Diablo guy.
Right.
Narrative director, I would have Chris Metzen, who built Warcraft franchise.
Yes, I know who Chris Metzen is. You mention him like every episode.
Microsoft employee, by the way, Chris Metzen.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay director.
Jeff Kaplan, because you love Overwatch so much.
Actually, maybe, yeah, Jeff Kaplan. Yeah, maybe actually Jeff Kaplan. But the studio head would be me.
Ooh.
It would be me.
So we're not getting a game.
What do you mean?
Studio
You're getting
head?
the best game.
Okay, sure. We'll finally get that Randall Tomato game finally.
Yeah, dude, that game was sick. I've still got that game. I need to get back on my Unity course someday. We'll see.
Yeah. So thank you guys for all the Patreon questions. You can always sign up at patreon.com/XB2. You can look for potentially, I think we're good to go for Xbox 2+1 on Tuesday. We'll just make sure we actually get to Tuesday and everybody's good to go before we announce it. But look forward to that. I'm sure Jez will tweet about it and it'll be in the Patreon emails and all that sort of stuff. We appreciate all of you. We love everybody that tuned into the show today. I think we had like 1,500 people wanting to hear our opinions about the Xbox logo controversy. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this episode. Make sure you use code XB2 anytime you want to buy anything for your balls. Manscaped.com. And Jez, another episode of Xbox 2 in the bin. Episode 294. We're getting ever so close to 300. And yeah, what do you got? You got anything to say before we head on out, mosey on down the road?
Nah, man. Just keep it gaming.
We have one more super chat. We have Ronnie Savage says, should people get rid of Xbox and go PC? I think people should play where they want to play. If that's console, play on console. If that's PC, play on PC. Play where you want to play.
Play where you want to play, baby.
Yeah. Anyways, any last message you want to send?
Nah, just rock and roll, baby. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week.
Rock and roll. See you guys.
Code XB2 at Manscaped.
Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Keep it gaming. Later.